Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment meeting for Toronto and East York. Want to start by apologizing for the great technical delay we had today. If people are attending in person, either this morning or this afternoon, you should know that we've had to switch committee rooms, and we're now in Committee Room 1 and not Committee Room 3 as initially set out. Yes, we're on WebEx, which is something like Zoom, and we're also live on Ustream, YouTube, I should say, streaming services. And so, all right, moving along. We're going to open the meeting where, pursuant to sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act, we're calling this meeting to order. And what is it that the committee does? We want to let you know that we consider applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that applies to property. Also permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses. And we handle consents to sever property to create new lots. Before we proceed any further, we always want to acknowledge that the land we're meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and it's now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. I have some opening remarks which are fairly lengthy, but they're important, so I'll just proceed with those. We want you to know that Committee of Adjustment public hearings are now conducted in a hybrid in-person and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person, and others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch that on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance and will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone, they have the option of participating via video or audio only. All virtual participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, you'll be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your devices until you're called on to speak. Those who are participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelist when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled, but you'll only be visible during your 5-minute allotted speaking time. All other times, your video will be disabled and you'll be reinstated as an attendee. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Those participating through WebEx are not allowed to use share screen or any other panelist control during a video appearance. The host will remove you if you don't respect that instruction. All right, just speaking to the matter of decisions of the committee, if you want to get a copy following today. People attending today in person who want to receive a copy of the decision must fill out a decision request card, and those participating virtually, they need to submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, or in some cases, in some limited circumstances, the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, it's important to note, the provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies, as those terms are defined in the Planning Act, are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. And appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee, so you can refer there for further information. Okay, a word about our procedure this morning, and again, so I apologize that we have a late start, but we're going to make the best of it and continue. Making your submissions. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or the applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I'll comment when you're reaching that 5-minute limit. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept materials at the hearing. So when you're addressing the committee, would you please state your name, your address for our record, and I think give your email as well. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters that are outlined in the application. All right, the applicant or agent is going to proceed first and will make a presentation to committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure that the revised application is accurate and that all those who are entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals, either in support or opposed to the application, will be invited to speak. Generally, we'll call on speakers that are here in the hearing room. Again, that's hearing room 1. And then those who are participating through WebEx may participate. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will be taken into committee for a decision. All right, proceeding with other procedural matters this morning. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any minutes to be confirmed from past meetings?
Good morning, committee members. Yes, the minutes from the June 5th, 2024 hearing are ready for adoption.
All right, members, could I have a motion to move those minutes? Yes, Mr. Reid.
Adoption, thanks.
All right, motion, all right, and seconded by Mr. Wilkins. All in favor then of that? That's a unanimous, Deputy Secretary, yes, okay. Members, I should also ask you at this time whether there are any declarations of interest or any conflicts of interest that you might have with respect to any items on the morning or afternoon agenda. All right, I'm seeing none. And city staff also, all right, I'm seeing none. Good. All right, okay. Right.
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are no files to be closed for this morning's session. And there is one deferral, actually, for item 1 and item number 2, 59 Jones Avenue, parts 1 and 2, file number A1059/23 TEY, file number A0002/24 TEY. It's come to our attention that only one sign was posted, not 2. And because there are 2 separate applications,
2 addresses,
both signs must be posted in order to meet our statutory requirements. So this is kind of improper notification. We do have the agent online. We do have registered speakers here, so we'll have to hear from all. But I believe what's the situation right now is the deferral for both of these items at this time.
all right, we'll ask the agent or applicant then to speak up. I understand you're coming in virtually, and essentially we're going to handle items 1 and 2 on the agenda together. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, sir. Yes, I can hear you. Perhaps you could speak up a little more. I don't know if you heard some of the preamble, but there's a question or there's an issue. There are 2 different municipal addresses, and it seems there may have been a difficulty in terms of the notices of the public hearing. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I was made aware of it during the week.
Are you then agreeable to have these two matters deferred to a future meeting of the committee while notice, et cetera, gets sorted out?
I thought that since the two units are about the same in parts 1 and part 2, that the notices should be waived.
Sorry, just didn't catch the end of that. It sounds like, sir, the notice will have to be redone, and certainly you should refer to all of the municipal addresses and the part numbers as well. So I presume there's a reference plan or a plan showing part 1 and 2.
Okay. One thing though that I wanted to clarify is the notice itself is faulty in the sense that the written notice states that the addition that we are asking for the increase in FSI has been built without authorization or building permit, and that is incorrect. The application is a proposed one. The addition has not been built.
Yes. Okay. I don't want to get into any building code matters. Just remember, so we understand that there's a request from you that these matters be deferred, and then hopefully in that deferral time, you can sort things out. So are you in favor of the deferral?
Okay.
All right. All right, Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, I think we should hear from other persons who are either here or online.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we will get to those that are here in person. We did have someone registered that resides at 51 Jones Avenue. They're not online.
I see.
But we do have two people here to speak. The agent is to contact city staff, okay, to talk about any matters that need to be rectified on the public hearing notice.
Yes, thank
and
you.
just to ensure that, you know, 2 signs are posted as per the statutory requirements. So at this time, I'm going to call up the owner at 55 Jones Avenue. Just come up to the podium there. Yes. And then you can turn on the microphone. Just press the button so it shows red, and then you can introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Mike Anderson. I live at 55 Jones Avenue. You said you wanted my email address as well? No. No? Okay. No. So I'm the owner and occupant of 55 Jones Avenue. I live directly beside this construction site. I've lived there for 3 years. The construction's been happening. We're coming up on the 2-year anniversary. And I'm trying to stick to these points here.
So through you, Mr. Chair, we're only hearing your position on the deferral of the application.
I don't want to defer. I'm here, I'm ready.
Okay.
All right.
However, the situation is that they didn't post the signs, so they don't meet the statutory requirements. It's improper notification. It is an automatic deferral because of that.
Does it matter that if they posted one and it's a duplex and it's on one lot that they've split into 2?
It's 2 separate applications, 2 separate signs have to be posted. Those are the rules.
We can't speak on one of the buildings?
No,
2 addresses with,
it comes together, yeah. So there'll be a
Okay.
new hearing date.
all right, so for the record, I'm against the deferral.
Okay.
I'm ready to proceed.
I understand that.
And then at this time, I'll call up the resident at 53 Jones Avenue.
Good morning, committee. Thanks for inviting us out here to speak. On the fact of the deferral, yes, I do believe that the second posting wasn't present. Due that these are both exactly the same, and I do feel like it's kind of all in the same area. Even though it's improper, I'm still kind of against the deferral, and I'd like to get this taken care of.
And during the deferral period, something may happen in addition to the applicant checking with planning staff to get notices right, but there might be some revisions and that would have been, okay, I understand that, good. Anyone else, madam?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's all, so we can go into committee. Community Planning is requesting refusal of variance number 1, so the applicant may want to take this opportunity to have further conversations with Community Planning staff.
Yes. All right. Members, can I get a motion?
Not a motion, but just a couple observations on this one. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it's frustrating to you to not have to deal with this. We will tell you, you will get another kick at this when they bring it back, so you'll have an opportunity to present your concerns to the panel. To the applicant, as Sabrina was saying, you really need to talk to planning to resolve any outstanding issues in addition to this notice provisions. But I would make the point about this application, it's got a bit of a past and it's got some history to it. I think whoever is on the committee when this is brought forward would benefit from a cover letter or some additional explanation so the public can understand a little bit more about what the history is, as can the members. So I would highly recommend to the applicant to, when this comes back forward, to provide the panel with some detailed information in a cover letter so that we understand exactly what this application is. In respect of that, because of the requirement for notice, I'll move deferral of this application.
All right, is there a second to members? Yes. I'll second. All right, all in favor? All right. So, sir, that matter is being deferred, and I'll just say in addition, I hope you've heard those comments from Mr. Clay. I think it would be appropriate to have a cover letter to explain the history and just what's happening here. All right, thank you very much. All right, Madam Deputy Secretary, I'd propose then to proceed to item 3, 11 Hogarth Avenue. Is that, would that
That's
fit?
correct.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm just referring then to item 3, and again, the address is 11 Hogarth Avenue. I'm just going to read out the purpose and some of the materials, et cetera, that we have. So the purpose is to alter the existing 2 1/2 story detached dwelling by constructing a rear 1-story addition and a rear 2nd-story balcony. Committee has before it a copy of plan of site plan, floor plans and elevations. We have an arborist report. We have a tree protection plan. We have a commenting agency from, again, from tree protection area. There are correspondence and support from 2 persons. There are also 2 form letters in opposition. Persons who live at 6 Tennis Crescent.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online. No registered speakers for this item. At this time, we'll unmute the agent.
Yes, thank you.
Lucas? Lucas, you've been unmuted.
Can I proceed with the presentation?
Sorry, you have to speak a bit louder. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Again, if you just speak up a little more.
And can you guys hear me now?
Okay.
All right. My name is Lucas Cocobello from Schillerco. Address is 340 Church Street in Oakville. I'm here today representing the owners of 11 Hogarth. We're proposing a rear 1-story addition to the existing dwelling. We are essentially just reconstructing the rear addition for this scope of work. I have reviewed the letters of objection and letters of support for this project, and I have no concerns with what's been presented from the community aspect of it. In addressing the letters of objection, neighbors are, the rear neighbor was mentioning issues from 20 years ago that don't necessarily involve the current owners, as they had bought this property within the last 5 years. I guess if you guys have any questions, please let me know and I'll do my best to answer them.
Members of the committee for, sorry, any speakers? The agent, any questions of the agent? Sorry, no.
Chair, just a quick question. I noticed that you've got a 2nd and 3rd story balcony off the rear. Is there any overlook concerns? Have you spoken with your neighbors, adjacent neighbors?
So the original house had like a two-story deck balcony structure that was there. That whole structure is being removed, and the only portion of the balcony that's going to remain is what's over the reconstructed rear addition.
Okay, so you're satisfied that that's not an issue with your neighbors?
I'm not aware that it's going to become an issue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, Madam Deputy Secretary, I had noted that there were letters of opposition, but you're saying that there's no one present or online today in
Through you,
opposition?
Mr. Chair, no registered speakers for this item.
Members, any comments or prepared to put forward a motion with respect to this item? That's item 3, 11 Hogarth Ave.
I can bring a motion, Chair.
All right, please do.
Yeah, I think this is a very minor variance that's being requested. It's just for the FSI, and it's building on the existing footprint of the balconies in the back, and I think it's actually minimizing, reducing the overlook situation that's happening now by removing a level. I can see no negative impacts that come from approving this, so I move approval with just the condition of urban forestry.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Yes, Mr. Clay? All right. All right, all in favor of that? That passes unanimously, Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer. All right. Moving on to item 4, 54 DENTONIA Park Avenue. Members, I just wanted to say this is an application under section 45, but it's not really a minor variance application in the sense that we usually see. As mentioned at the beginning, the committee can also consider applications in respect of legal non-conforming uses, and that appears to be what we have here. I think there was a townhouse project that's not in conformity with the residential zoning. So a long way of saying, so perhaps we should think about impact in terms of the particular application. All right, could an agent or applicant then for 54 DENTONIA Park Avenue, could they come online or appear in person here?
Morning.
Hello, good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, speak up just a little bit louder, please.
Yeah, of course. My name is Gabriel Kraskovsky. My address is 12-2 Ramblings Way, Collinwood, Ontario. So our proposal here is to renovate an existing townhome. Our basement will remain as is, and only interior alterations are proposed on the ground floor. And on the second floor, we are proposing to build a 12 by 19 feet addition directly on top of the ground floor. To add a third bedroom while keeping an existing footprint, all the setbacks, length, and height of the building. So this addition will allow an owner's family to sustainably grow within their neighborhood. So the same additions were done right across the street, so we kindly ask you to allow us to add a third bedroom. Thank you for your time, and let me know if you have any questions.
Members, any questions of the speaker? No. All right. Thanks. Thank you. Well, members, I give it to you for consideration or a motion. There are 2 variances requested in my FSI, and we've heard the size of the addition that the applicant's proposing.
Chair, I think this is a very modest proposal. This is not extending the length beyond the existing first floor addition in the rear. It doesn't appear to have any negative impact on the neighbors, the adjacent neighbors. It is simply here before us because, as you point out, it's a legal non-conforming use. I don't think there are any other variances, frankly. So I think this is a supportable application. I'll move approval subject to forestry condition number 2.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. There
I'll
is that.
second.
Second that, yes, all right. All right, all in favor of that? Okay. All right, sir, you have your approval. Committee has approved it unanimously, and as was mentioned, yes, there's an urban forestry condition attached to the decision. Thank you. All right, we can move to number 5 on the agenda. 1375 Queen Street West. Let's get a moment. That up here. Yeah. All right, so we've moved on to item 5 on our agenda, 1375 Queen Street West. I'm just going to tell you what materials have come into committee, and then we'll call upon the applicant or agent to speak. The purpose is to alter the redevelopment plan approved under site-specific bylaw 413-2024 by the Ontario Land Tribunal for an 8-story mixed-use building by enlarging the 7th story of the building and reducing the building step back above the 6th story. A revised site plan approval application is currently under review. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 3 photographs of the subject property, a covering letter from Michael Halpern as agent, a revised diagram 3 from that person, and the site-specific zoning bylaw itself. We have opposition. There is correspondence and opposition from appears to be about 5 persons. Some on Queen Street West, and I take it this is in the area of Parkdale. So that's what we have. The applicant agent then come forward and identify him or herself.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online. We also have 2 registered speakers online, 1 person here in person. So at this time, we'll unmute the agent, David Bronskill.
Great.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. David Bronskill here as agent for the applicant, 333 Bay Street, Suite 3400, Toronto, Ontario.
Yes, thank you. Perhaps you'd just like to speak to your application for a moment. My own thinking in seeing this, Mr. Bronskill, is that the zoning bylaw is very recent, appears to be approved by the Ontario Land Tribunal this year.
I can speak to that, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
It's actually an older approval. It's just that the bylaw has its assigned number in 2024. This was actually a settlement that was accepted by City Council in December of 2021. It was then presented to the tribunal for, and you can actually see that the related site plan approval application has a 2021 application date. That settlement was then presented to the tribunal for acceptance, and you can see there, thank you to staff, the decision issued January 2022, and there were preconditions to be satisfied with the city prior to issuance of the final order, Mr. Chair. That included having a revised functional servicing report, stormwater management report, municipal servicing and grading plan, parking study, and traffic impact study, all to be reviewed. Those were completed, and then the final order was requested such that the bylaw was ultimately then, a final order, was ultimately then issued by the tribunal and a bylaw number assigned. So while the bylaw number, Mr. Chair, is 2024, I would suggest this approval is really 2021, 2022 in terms of the built form. The change, Mr. Chair, as noted in the cover letter of Mr. Halpern, relates to the 7th floor and a step back that is required in the bylaw above the 6th floor, i.e. for the 7th floor, and we're seeking to reduce that by 1.3 meters from 3.4 to 2.1. If staff are able to assist, the architectural plans at both pages 14 and 15 of the PDF. One of them's a roof plan that will show both the roof and the 7th floor. That actually elevation stuff, if you want to say there, is actually a great way. That red line is what is required by the bylaw. The blue line is what is being requested through this variance application. I'm going to suggest to the committee it's extremely minor. It's intended to rationalize the 7th floor while still maintaining an upper level step back. The rationalization of that 7th floor relates to the detailed design and a proper structural grid between the 6th and 7th floor. It actually improves the unit layouts and allows for the introduction of some larger units. And it's actually in that 7th floor going to provide space that throughout the building, a waste chute can be provided for all units because it had been a bit constrained on that 7th floor before. So I'm going to suggest to the committee it's a very minor reduction in that step back, but one is still being provided. It is in keeping with the emerging direction at the city in terms of the mid-rise guidelines for rear transition, and it is appropriate and desirable for the development of the land because it is going to lead overall to a better building, and that's resulted from the detailed design through site plan. And my understanding is the planning staff are not raising any concerns with this reduction.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brunskill. Does it change unit? Does it add a unit at all?
It allows actually for the units in that area to be larger. So on those floor plans there, and it's I don't want to oversell what's happening because it is a small change to the overall design of the building, but at that back area, it's now a 2-bedroom unit, and in fact, across that 7th floor now, there at the back there are 1, 2, 3 2-bedroom units to go along with 3 1-bedroom units at the front. So that rear unit is expanded, and there's some additional GFA there that 2 units there are now 2-bedroom units that were not there before.
Thanks very much. Members,
Chair?
yes, questions?
A quick question, David. I think, the correspondence that we've read in opposition to this, a lot of it has to do with the provision of affordable housing or affordable units. Was there any requirement for affordable units in the tribunal ruling, or does your client have any proposals for affordable units in this structure?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I did read those comments as well. There may be some confusion in terms of the settlement at City Council as ultimately implemented with the tribunal. I'm just going to say 2 things, Mr. Chair, because I went back and checked just to make sure that it's my settlement letter at City Council, and I wanted to make sure that I had it correct. There is in the settlement letter, as endorsed by City Council, a commitment to work with the City of Toronto to see if the city's open door affordable housing program can be used as part of this site to deliver affordable housing units on the site. That was the commitment. There's no requirement for affordable housing units to be delivered, but there was a commitment to try and work with the city. Those discussions have occurred and are ongoing. The second thing I would just say through you, Mr. Chair, is it is a tough site to deliver affordable housing. It's a former gas station. There's remediation. There are other economic costs involved on a mid-rise site like this, and so it's difficult. This variance in and of itself would not enable, I would say, a greater likelihood of affordable housing, but our client did make the commitment to have those ongoing discussions with city staff, and those discussions have occurred and frankly are ongoing. But otherwise, no, there is no requirement for affordable housing.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, thank you. If you just stand by, then, Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, could we have several persons that are prepared to speak to this?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have one person here in person, if they can come up to the podium from 200 Jameson Avenue.
Hi there, good morning. Thanks for coming in person. Okay.
Is your red light on? You push the button.
We're just gonna get some.
Is it okay? Yeah, okay. Okay. Dear Committee of Adjustment members, my name is Fatih Nishraq Chaudhary, and I'm here speaking today as a Parkdale tenant living on Jameson Avenue, and also as a community benefits organizer with Parkdale People's Economy. For the last 2 years, I've lived and worked in Parkdale with organizations providing critical services to the working class, racialized, low-income communities in Parkdale. Currently, we're in the midst of escalating gentrification that seeks to displace Parkdale tenants if we do not ensure equitable development. I live just 1 block west of the Queen and Close intersection, where construction for this 8-story development by Scale Development has already begun. Daily, I walk alongside the site and speak to neighbors and businesses who are concerned about luxury condos and development coming in that's going to raise the overall cost of living for many of us. We've held multiple canvases over the last month to build awareness about another development proposal by Kingset Capital, and those who have engaged with us are deeply concerned about being displaced and not being able to afford living in Parkdale. Currently, a studio apartment in my building on Jameson Avenue is over $2,300. The development that is taking place in South Parkdale, where the average annual income is $36,090 and reflects a particular population that is vulnerable. In a neighborhood such as Parkdale, where 74% of the residents are renters, this development proposes no solution to address the housing affordability crisis that's taking place. Since 2018, Parkdale's People's Economy has published a Parkdale Community Benefits Framework that clearly articulates the vision for equitable development without displacement, and it's been created by the community itself. As a city priding itself on meaningful community engagement, this framework and the 2024 Community Planning Study is a clear plea from our neighborhood for more affordable housing. However, the developer has not confirmed this commitment. Scale Development has made 5 promises to the city and to community members that 20% of the housing units in this proposed development would be affordable. These promises for affordable housing were made throughout the development process, at the pre-application community meeting, in their development application, at the mandatory public meeting, and twice during the Ontario Land Tribunal appeal process. With consistent organizing from the Justice for Queen and Close Coalition, direct action, community canvassing, petitions, and direct engagement with the developer, the demands from our community have been resoundingly clear. Through the City of Toronto Open Door Affordable Housing Program, Scale Development was encouraged to apply and commit to ensuring affordable housing units in this development. As the program was suspended, there has been no current solution proposed, and we strongly encourage Scale developers to meet with community members and demonstrate their leadership in equitable development. We strongly encourage developers like Scale to engage with the community benefits agreement process and model a community where we can all live without displacement. Thank you for your time.
Just one quick question. When you say something was suspended, are you saying some kind of outreach program for affordable housing? Is it not familiar with it? Was it stopped by the city? Because you said something along the lines that was some.
Yeah, so we were in discussion with like the city planner, and I think part of what you heard earlier was that they were in conversation with the city that's ongoing.
Yes, I heard that, yeah.
And so the Open Door Affordable Housing Program, from our understanding, isn't currently active. So there isn't a way for a developer like Scale to secure affordable housing units in their development. So I think that's part of the conversation that they're referring to as ongoing.
Thanks very much. Members, any further questions of the speaker? Saying none. All right. Thank you very much, sir. And I stand the further speaker online.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we will unmute the owner at 113 Cohen Avenue.
113, I'm sorry, what was the address?
Hi there. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can, thanks.
Okay.
Could you give us your name and address and,
Yes, definitely. So, hi everyone. My name is Erin Wotherspoon. My address is 113 Cowan Avenue. I have been a resident of Parkdale for 8 years. I also work in the community at Parkdale Queen West Community Health Center. Parkdale is an extremely vibrant and diverse community, and during a housing crisis, it also happens to be home to some of the last vestiges of affordable housing in this city. So many others have already been displaced by gentrification and pushed out of communities they once called home. Condo buildings like this one Scale intends to build at Queen and Close contribute to that displacement by driving up rents and attracting investors that care only for profit. Scale originally expressed interest in providing some affordable housing in this build, and I urge them to follow through on this. I understand that the city has no power to enforce Scale to include affordable housing, but is it not sad that in order to include affordable housing, one needs to be forced by legislation to do so? So again, I'd really just like to reiterate that I know Scale keeps repeating that there's no like legal framework to enforce them to include affordable housing, but as community members, we're asking them to. This is what the community wants. And again, we understand from the city's perspective, there's no way to enforce that, but there's been so many demonstrations that this is what the community wants. And you all proposed that you were willing to work with the city, although this seems vague, and saying that these discussions with the city are ongoing almost seems like it's a pacifier. As the community, we'd like to know that you will follow through on this commitment. So again, I just urge you to please listen to the community and honor what you originally said and find a way to make that work with the city and include the affordable units. Thank you very much.
yes, thank you for your remarks. Members, any questions for the speaker? No.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll go back to the agent.
Yes, thank you. All right, back to Mr. Bronskill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know this is maybe unrelated to the variance, but I just wanted to say a few things in response. First of all, there are no tenants being displaced as part of this development. It is a gas station. This is additional housing coming into the city on a site that can and should be redeveloped. Secondly, it's a rental project. So this is the delivery of rental units in the area, which I think is highly desirable. Third, the commitment, as I noted to you earlier, Mr. Chair, was to work with the city to apply or otherwise access the city's open door affordable housing program or determine if there are opportunities for affordable housing units as part of the development. That program is not currently available for this site. That's why the discussions are ongoing with the city. There is no legal requirement or legal commitment to provide the affordable housing units. And as I noted on a site like this, a mid-rise rental project with significant environmental remediation costs is a difficult project to deliver meaningful affordable housing. And this committee will know I've been back in front of you for variances seeking additional height for projects where we've been able to achieve 4, 5, 6 affordable housing units in buildings that are 20 plus stories. So while my client is trying to do its best to deliver rental housing in Parkdale and see what can be achieved in terms of affordable housing, the best we can do is honor the commitment we made to City Council, which is continue those discussions, but otherwise proceed with remediating this site and building the new rental units that are in this building.
Thank you. Those are helpful remarks. Members, it's a setback change on the 7th floor. Any comments, or do you wish to bring a motion? Yes, Mr. Clay.
Thanks, Chair. I think you know, to sum it up, what we have before us is quite frankly, a very minor variance in respect of a 7-story dwelling. I was heartened to hear the agent note that this was going to be rental accommodation, which I think in this area is highly desirable and desperately needed. And I would just say to those who have spoken on this item, understand the concern, understand, and we're sympathetic to the concern, but the issue of affordable housing and number of units is beyond this committee's ability to deal with. And what we can only deal with is what the variances are that are being requested, and they are minor. I would encourage Mr. Bronskill to continue to work with his client to have those discussions with city staff to seriously look for opportunities to introduce affordable housing into not only this unit, but that entire area of Parkdale, which I think desperately needs affordable housing units, more affordable housing units. But for all those reasons, I think this is a very minor variance request, and unless my colleagues have anything to add, I will move approval of this application, and there are no conditions.
Is there a seconder for that motion, please? Yes, second by Mr. Reid. All right, all in favor? All right, sir, Mr. President, the matter has been approved unanimously. The variance in connection with that setback is approved.
Through you,
All
Mr.
right.
Chair. So Mr. Clay made the motion, Peter Reid second.
Yes, that's correct. Okay, just good. I just need a moment here for you for Clinton. All right. Sorry, okay, I'm just going to proceed to the next matter here. So we're at item number 6. It is 484 Clinton Street. Just going to check on materials that the city has on this, and here's the purpose of the application that pertains to 484 Clinton Street. To alter the existing 2 1/2 townhouse dwelling by constructing a rear 2nd-story addition, cantilevered at the rear west and south side, above the existing rear 1-story portion of the dwelling. Committee has a copy plan of survey, site plans, floor plans, and elevations. We have 3 photographs of the subject property. We have a letter from Stephanie Mativa, if I'm pronouncing that correct, as agent. And there are also presentation materials from that agent.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
All right, okay. That's good, all right. We'll ask then the agent to come forward, and perhaps you'd help me with the pronunciation.
Stephanie, you've been unmuted.
Thank you very much. So for the public record, my name is Stephanie Matviva. I'm an associate with Glenchnar & Associates, the registered agent on behalf of the property owner.
Yes.
The address for Glenchnar & Associates is 10 Kingsbridge Garden Circle in Mississauga, Ontario. So the pronunciation was perfect.
Good.
I've heard worse.
That's unusual for me, so thank you, okay. Yes, all right, and I see you have 2 variances that are being sought here. Why don't you just very briefly make your points on those?
Absolutely, thank you. So, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, thank you for having me this morning. The application before us today is to facilitate a rear 2nd-story addition. If I could actually go to slide number 5, please. Thank you very much. The proposed addition is above the rear addition, so it would be cantilevered above portion of the dwelling. This is the rear elevation just to indicate the proposed materials and the proportionality of the proposed addition. If I could have the next slide, please. The proposed addition is to better suit the family's needs. So in particular, it will facilitate the ability to have an additional bedroom that will better accommodate the family needs. As is demonstrated by these side elevations, there's a general absence of windows and openings on either side. or the side elevations of the proposed addition. This alleviates any perceived massing, scale, overlook, and privacy concerns. I'd also just highlight that there's existing privacy fencing on either side of the shared property lines. This further contributes to preventing adverse privacy and overlook concerns. So overall, and as identified in my submission letter, the two requested variances are to permit an increased dwelling depth for a townhouse dwelling. So the permitted depth is 14 meters. That would be measured from the perimeter of the main front wall to the perimeter of the main rear wall. So this really is a minor deviation. It respects the existing character and physical conditions that are present within the surrounding area. The second variance is to permit an increased density. So whereas 0.6 FSI is permitted, 0.74 FSI is requested. As identified in the submission letter, there are instances of previous approvals. So the requested density is well within range of both previous approvals and existing building patterns in the surrounding area. Lastly, I would highlight, we did receive a letter of support from the immediate adjacent neighbor at 482 Clinton Street. Just given timing, it was unable to be provided as part of the package for the committee members, but efforts were made to make sure that the neighbors were well informed of the proposal, that there were no adverse impacts that would be visible. We listened to the concerns of the neighborhood. I'd also highlight, in the absence of a city planning report, this does support Toronto policy and local policy. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions or concerns that there may be. Thank you.
All right, thanks for those remarks. Members, are there any questions at all? No, all right. All right, thanks very much. As we're going to take it into committee. Members, there are two variances, and one of depth. Floor space index, it increases, but it's not huge. Any comment? And if not, can we have a motion?
I can bring a motion, Chair. Yeah, I think this is a very benign application. The footprint of the house remains the same, and there's a small addition on the second floor that only goes about 1 meter past what's existing there. And I think there is a pattern of quite deep houses on this block and within the larger area that go much beyond the permitted depth. So I think that pattern is there in the neighborhood, and this fits in well, I think. So I move approval without condition.
Is there a seconder for that motion, please? Yes. Mr. Wilkins, all right. All in favor then of that? Yes. Is passed unanimously, Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer. All right. Members, I'm just thinking out loud for a moment. It's around 11:30, but I thought maybe we'll call for a break about 11:45. I realized we had a late start. At the same time, members have been here since 9 o'clock. All right. With that said, we're going to move on to item 7, and the address is 32 Cranfield Road. Let's go up there. Okay. All right. Let's get that for me here. All right, relative to the 32 Cranfield Road, there's the purpose of the application. It's to convert the existing one-story detached non-residential building from an office warehouse use into a public self-storage warehouse use with an office area. The existing eating establishment, a cafe, will be maintained and unaltered. The committee has a great deal of material before it, which I'm just going to highlight. Again, a copy of plan of survey, site plans, floor plans, and elevations. We have a cover letter, a previous committee decision. We have concept plans. We have matters relating to servicing, a functional servicing report, a hydrogeological investigation. There's a justification brief. I may ask the agent to opine on that. Parking studies, and and other matters related to sort of servicing and grading, a tree protection plan, and I'll just see, we have email correspondence from Transportation Engineering, and we have a staff report from Tree Protection and Plan Review, and I see there would be our urban forestry conditions 1 and 2, I think, are being asked for here.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item. At this time, we'll unmute the agent.
Yes, thank you very much. For the agent applicant then for item 7, 32 Cranfield Road, could you identify yourself, please?
Hi, Mr. Chair, if you can hear me.
Yes.
Good day to you and to the members of the committee and members of the public. My name is Jonabel Seremuga. Sorry.
Yes, sorry, I just perhaps you tell us a little bit more about.
Chair, don't mean to interrupt. I'm
that's all right.
comfortable without a presentation. I don't know what my colleagues are like here, but I think we could probably, the amount of material that's been presented is quite substantial. I think the variances are quite minor. I'm happy without a presentation.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. I think we'll proceed that way. All right, members, should we consider a motion then on this application?
Doug? I'm happy to do it if you like. Yeah, sure. For the reasons I did, I mean, this was a very minor conversion of use in an employment area. There are no impacts on anyone adjacent or in the broader neighborhood. It continues to use this facility for appropriate uses. I thought the agent and the applicant did a really good job of providing substantial justification and supporting material. So I think we read them all, and it was quite clear that this was an appropriate transition or from use. So I would move approval of this application subject to forestry condition number 1 and 2.
Is there a seconder, please? Yes, Mr. Reed, second by Mr. Reed. All right, all in favor of that variance? All right, that's approved unanimously, Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer. Okay, just a moment. I just need a moment to, get my documents back up. Yes, moving on to item number 8 on our agenda. We have 45 Armadale Avenue. The purpose is to alter the existing one-story ancillary building, a detached garage, by constructing a complete second-story addition that will be cantilevered with front stairs. This ancillary building will contain storage area on the ground level and 1 garden suite on the second level. It can be had, as usual, really, plan a survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 1 photograph of trees, 34 photographs of the subject property, and a tree plan. I don't note any speakers or opposition. So could the agent or applicant?
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
We do have the agent online. We do have 1 registered speaker here in opposition.
Oh, thank you, okay.
So we'll unmute the agent at this time.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi there, good morning, yeah.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. My name is Pamir Rafiq. I'm the authorized agent for the owner of the subject property. And I wanted to just take a quick 2 minutes. Is it my time to present now? I don't see the time moving.
Yeah, you have up to 5 minutes, so please proceed.
Okay, so I'd like to point out a couple of things about the variance, and then thereafter, I want to give you a very quick summary of a conversation that I had with Nicholas Singh, who's the Secretary Treasurer of the Swansea Area Ratepayers Association. So first of all, about the variances, we have 4 variances. All of those are related to 2 setback encroachments of an existing structure. So I'm hoping that we can receive leniency in treatment based on the fact that these variances kind of come as a couple. One of the variances automatically triggers the second variance. So for that reason, I hope that we can treat it with a little bit leniency. Now, that's all the comments I make for about the variance. I want to go straight to the quick summary that I want to make about the discussion I had with Nicholas Singh. So first, I had a quick discussion with him about clarifying that the existing structure that the bottom floor is an existing structure that's to remain with its foundation existing to remain as well. And we're not intending to do any modifications to the existing foundation. Also, there seems to have been some confusion about ceiling heights. Somewhere there was the interpretation that the ceiling height is 70 inches. In reality, the second floor is the only living area here. The existing ground floor is going to be a storage area, and which also has a ceiling height of at least 6'8", and then the second floor has a ceiling height in fact of 8 feet. Okay, now he suggested that if we add two conditions, which I'm happy to read out here, and then he will be able to support. He will be able to support approval for this. So the two conditions that were suggested in the discussion were, I'm going to read it out. Number one, there will be no foundation or slab put in except for the posts for the cantilevered overhang, and no removal, rebuilding, or disturbance of the existing walls. Number two, the building location and envelope shall not change at any point in the future. So we're accepting both those variances. We're happy if you'd like to add them as conditions. We're happy with the two conditions that I just read out. I'm sorry, and we're happy if you'd like to add them. And if there's any further questions, I'm also happy to address those.
Yes, so just to clarify one thing, sorry, I think you mentioned Mr. Singh that you'd been discussing this with. I'm sorry, who is he with? I think he's not with the city.
He's here, Chair.
Oh, he's here. Sorry.
Chair, can I just ask a question? So, you know, if the committee were to approve this, would tying the approval to the plans have the same effect with respect to the slab and the existing structure?
That's a question to the agent.
Sorry.
All right, agent?
Did we lose him?
Oh, sorry. Do you mind repeating the question? I apologize.
No, sorry. It sounds, and we'll hear from Mr. Singh in a moment, but it sounds like you've reached some sort of agreement with the Swansea Area Ratepayers Association. And I'm wondering if, in place of those conditions, whether if the committee were so inclined to approve it, would tying the approval to the site plan and the elevations have the same effect, pardon me?
So for us, either or works. The condition that I read out, I guess the tricky part there is if any of the existing structure may need repair, right? How does that affect it? So I guess that's not part of it.
No.
And reinforcement, what's the concern with reinforcement?
Okay.
As long as we're not disturbing the soil of the neighbors, I think that's the main purpose of this condition, right? So if you believe that what you pointed out will have the same effect, which I believe it will, and if Nicholas is happy with that, then I'm happy to go with. Then I'm happy to use that as a condition, since it's more broad and kind of narrows down onto the same target.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think it should be noted that the committee is not in a position to impose future alterations to a site, because if it is in full compliance with the zoning bylaw, then that landowner can go to the building division and receive a permit, right? And if it's not, then they would submit a new application to
Right.
Committee of Adjustment, and it would be reviewed and considered at that time.
Subsequent, by tying it to plans, at least gives some comfort with respect to the application that's before us.
Yes. So through you, Mr. Chair, we can hear from Nicholas Singh now.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Nicholas Singh, Swansea Area Ratepayers Association. In reviewing the elevation drawings for this application, we had some concerns regarding the new versus the existing structure argument that was put forth. And the reason for that is because the garages in this area don't have footings that would support the building. As you can see, and as was mentioned, there's a slab on the drawings that seem to be below grade. Most garages in this area don't have such below grade slabs. And we understood from the drawings that there would have to be some excavation and pouring of the slab and the foundations. So we had a concern that this would be a new building if it was completed as per the elevation drawings. So that's why we entered into the discussion with the owner regarding how this was going to be accomplished. Because if it's not existing, it's a new building, which changes the argument completely. Based on that, their assertion that they weren't going to be disturbing the existing footings or the walls, and that would remain an existing building, we agreed that yes, if that condition was to be applied, then we would not have a further concern with that. Also, as to the setbacks, if you have a look at photo 21 of the batch of photos that the applicant submitted, you will see that the garage sits in front of a stone wall. That's the house at the rear. And we appreciate that the current bylaws are intended to create, separation between the properties at the rear. We understand that that garage is in a location which is further to the south. Now, if we enforce the bylaw, it would be further north and would have greater overlook into the backyard of that building at the back, which is 2 Willard Gardens. So because of the location of that wall, it made some sense in this particular situation to allow the setback on the south side to be reduced. However, if we're going to agree to that, we don't want to lose the benefit of moving the building by then having a future owner build up to the other side of the setback, which would give them an additional side of the building, size to the building. And that's why we looked at that condition. If it's not going to be expanded, then fine, we can agree to the setback on the south side. If not, then we, really have to consider whether or not this should be approved, because these particular variances were put in place to safeguard against crowding the neighbors. And it violates 2 bylaws which are to address this specifically. One is the setback, so you don't have closeness to the border, and the other is the 45-degree angle, which guarantees sunlight. So if we can't have the conditions, we do have a problem.
Okay, but that, with respect to the setback that's being asked for, is that illustrated on the plans and you can see it and you're comfortable with it?
With conditions, because we did suggest that the building be moved over. We do see that the building can be moved over to the north and forward towards the house, and it would eliminate the need for the 4 variances. So our initial question is, why can't the building be moved over? And the applicant has said, well, there are reasons why, because they want to use the existing structure. So based on that, there is some consideration why we would agree to this, but.
All right, thank you. Any questions from any of the members? We're all right? Okay, thanks.
Through
All
you,
right,
Mr.
thank
Chair,
sir.
we can go back to the agent.
Yes, we'll go back to the agent, yep.
I actually wanted to just give a quick clarification on one item that Nicholas mentioned. He mentioned a slab below grade. This could be just a discrepancy in terminology, in which case it may not be a big, in which case it wouldn't be a big deal. But there's really no slab below grade. He may refer to a footing that's below grade, and even though that's atypical, most of these garages have just a slab on grade. In this case, in fact, there's a footing that goes down as shown here, and we actually dug out a portion and have evidence that it looks like this.
Okay, right. And just as you understood from Mr. Singh, that there were some discussions about whether you could move the building, but I take it that's not in your plans, and that's why you're asking for these variances.
Exactly. It's also, I mean, looking at the need of rental properties, that's one thing there. The project would probably not be feasible if we were to demolish the existing structure and build a brand new structure, because the cost, mainly, obviously also because of the cost factor, but also this is already in place, well functioning, perfectly fine structure. Might as well make use of it in that way. And like I said, we're not encroaching any further. We're respecting all angular planes and setbacks in all other areas, except for, with the only exception of the two areas where it's existing.
Okay, thank you. Members, any other questions? No. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, members, any comment? If not, let's take it into discussion and we'll deal with this, I think.
I can start, Chair.
All right, thank you, Mr. Reid.
I think this is a good application, and I appreciate that the applicant is using the existing building. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think it's one of the reasons why I support this this application. I think the rear setback is mitigated by the fact that there's a blank brick wall there, and there have been efforts to, even where it doesn't fit the 45-degree angular plane, there have been efforts to slope the roof on all sides except for the front. So I think that's really good. In terms of the conditions, I don't feel comfortable putting any kind of future limitation on building on the site. I don't think that's fair or even probably legal. I do think tying it to plans makes sense, and I think that will get to a similar outcome because that shows the existing footprint of the garage and what is being proposed there above. So I believe these are minor variances, and if my colleagues don't have anything to say, I'll move approval with the condition that the application be approved subject to substantially in accordance with the site plan and the elevations.
All right, yes. Seconded by Mr. Clay.
I'll second it. I just wanted to make a brief comment about just in furtherance of what was just said, which is that what I heard from Mr. Singh was that the current layout has mitigated a lot of the impact of the angular planes. And so I think the concern about what might happen in the future, if there was some kind of extension or change or some, that would still have to come back before the committee, and that would be an appropriate time to raise the potential changes given how this project was planned to work within the existing conditions of the neighborhood. So I think the process will provide protection as well.
All right, thank you. So, all right, it's seconded then by Mr. Wilkins. All in favor then of this? All right. Yes, all right. The variances are granted as unanimous decision. Members, I'll just check with you. I could take a 10-minute break at this time, or we could proceed with one or two more applications. Any? Right? All right. Mr. Clay, you okay with continuing?
I'm great, Chair.
Excellent. Well, it'll take us to number 9, on which there was a supplemental report, which is helpful. And going to item 9, let me just get the address. 133 Withrow Avenue. And the application is then described as to convert the existing 2-story ancillary building and detached garage into 2 garden suites. There'll be a total of 3 residential dwelling units on the lot. The existing ancillary building, a shed, will be maintained and unaltered. Committee has before it, again, plans and a revised zoning notice. We have a red-lined public hearing notice, a cover letter from the agent, and there are staff reports from essentially archaeology heritage section and also from community planning. Matters of interest, correspondence from Mark Parasini and Riverdale Avenue, and this correspondence and concern from David and Sue Johnson, also at 138 Riverdale Avenue, and Charles Francis from 136 Riverdale Avenue. I just want to make sure that that's, yes.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent here in person. We also have a few people registered in opposition.
Yes.
Online. I see 2 right now. We're just contacting the other 2.
Okay, good.
So let's start with the agent, Monica Kuhn.
Good morning, Monica Kuhn, 12 Sackville Place. I'm the agent for the owner who's with me today, John Makinson. I just wanted to clarify that redlined notice and the cover letter are referring to the fact that we have deleted variance number 1. We are no longer requesting 2 units in the garden suite, just 1. John and his sister were planning to move into the building and each share a unit, but unfortunately she passed away at the end of February, and so
sorry.
Yes, very sad. And so John has decided to take over the whole building with 1 unit, which makes for a much nicer unit as well. So
5 change as well?
I don't think so.
4, they both talk, 4 and 5 also talk about, 3, they all talk about 2 garden suites. So we just have to amend the language?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, what we can do is definitely the purpose of application will be amended to reflect 1 garden suite and a total of 2 residential dwelling units on this lot. Variance number 1 is being removed. Any of the other variances that refer to 2 garden suites will ensure is amended to read 1 garden suite.
Right. Yeah, sorry, I didn't catch those. So just to give you a quick overview, we have, John and his sister did talk to, there's quite a few, because this is such a large internal lot, internal block lot. How many neighbors do you have? 14 surrounding neighbors. So he and his sister had talked to these neighbors over a year ago already, and I've been in conversation with planning since before the garden suite bylaw came into play, just to make sure that there would be no issue with this from the city and from the neighbors. We have circulated a letter which described all of the variances to the neighbors. Unfortunately, the one on across the street on Withrow didn't receive it, so that's perhaps why his letter reflects that he didn't really understand what we were doing. But to be clear, this is an existing building. This building has been here for over 70 years. It's the first, one of them is 2 stories, and then the attached one is 1 story. They're both listed as garage. I don't think John knows what the previous or original purpose was, whether it was some kind of a window factory or something like that. But anyway, the building's been empty ever since John and his sister owned the property for 30 years, and we're finally at a point where we're able to do something with it, and it's very exciting. So all of the variances, except for the one about the platform, are existing, and they're just a fact of it's just because we're changing the use to a garden suite that these variances are being triggered. So I can go through those quickly for you if you like. The rear yard soft landscaping, we're required to have a 25% between the back wall of the main house and the rear property line. And currently, there's 24%, which is very close, and we're not planning to change what's there now. There's a huge garden to the east of the two-story building, which is really beautiful. And the rest of it is like a driveway with perimeter planting. Variance number 3 is the angular plane from the back. And again, because the building is already there, we can't meet that. The building does comply with the height requirement for garden suites. Level of the platform, there was on the east side, or there is right now, an existing platform there. We're going to take that off and we're going to rebuild it. We are coming back the required setback from the rear property line. And the only issue is that typically garden suites don't allow a platform to be off of the second floor, but it's been there for 70 years. And we're also proposing to put a privacy screen facing the neighbors to the south. And then we have the 2 lot coverage again. The bylaw requires that the footprint of all ancillary buildings on the property not exceed 20%. Right now, the existing ancillary buildings take up 22%, and we're not changing that. And 22%, 2% is not that much. And then also that the bylaw requires that the footprint of the ancillary building containing a garden suite not exceed 60 square meters. Well, the existing building, including the garage that's attached to it, is 117.81, and we're not changing that. It's each floor of the garden suite is only just under 700 square feet, so it's not, the use is not that large. And I think that's, I have 50 seconds left. I can talk about the neighbors afterwards or before. I'm aware of heritage archaeology. That's the first one for me. But I've talked to them yesterday and we'll deal with that. I did talk to planning. I'm fine with the variance or the condition that they're placing on the rear window.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Questions from agents? No, all right, okay. All right, before we proceed to other speakers, technical staff got a little issue. It seems that power both to the laptop and the monitor have gone on me. So if I could just get some quick assistance, I'll see if I can find if a plug has come out or something, but. So excuse us just for a second, folks, a little technical issue here. We sort that out. Yeah.
I know. I can put in a request. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Okay.
Oh, perfect. Oh, there it is, yeah.
Okay, great, so it's back. Set that down. Can I just close it and open it?
Turn this on.
Close this, is it gonna go? No, it's gonna go, okay.
Nothing is showing, but he can see from the screen, right? While
It's booting back up.
I mean, we have registered speakers that we can hear from.
We do, yes.
Yeah,
All
well,
right.
reboots.
All right, thanks to the agent. Yes, we've had some technical issues today, but we'd ask you now to stand by and we'll hear from others who have registered to speak. Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, let's unmute the resident at 127 Withrow Avenue, Tim Wong.
Tim Wong, 127 Withrow. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thanks.
I actually just had some quick questions regarding the construction, and I guess one, like, are you guys building up, like, higher above, or increasing the height of the buildings?
May I answer that?
No, let's, can we hear all of your questions? And then at the time that the agent is making their deputation, they can explain?
Okay, because yeah, my concern is, and I think maybe you addressed this earlier, but as long as the building doesn't go higher above our fence line, we're okay with it. I guess the other question is just visitor parking. We're kind of just worried about impact on visitor parking.
Are those all your concerns?
And then just lastly, yeah, how the construction may impact the backyard if there is any. But yeah, those are the three questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll unmute the owner at 136 Riverdale Avenue.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, it's Mr. Francis.
I have a lot of feedback.
Sounds like you'll have to mute one device.
Are you speaking to me?
Yes, we are. If you have two devices, can you mute one of them so we don't get any feedback? Hello, Charles. Can you start again?
Okay. Yes. It appears I'm okay now.
Okay, can you just speak just a little bit louder and then state your first and last name and the address that you reside at?
Okay, my name is Charles Francis, and I live at 136 Riverdale Avenue, which is the street behind.
Okay, and now you can raise your concerns with the committee.
Okay, so I should, just so the committee knows, my yard, they may have 14 neighbors, but my yard backs onto almost 90%, if not more, of this property that is existing. So the only person who is really affected by it is me. The owner of 133 may have talked to 13 other people, but he never talked to me. And I would think I'm the most, I'm the one who's going to be affected the most. Now, the first thing is, when you look over this stuff, he's got a lot of variances, but the one to increase the square footage more than double what is allowed in a backyard suite can't be considered minor by any stretch, because I can't even think of anything that is even more major than that. No, before they wanted 2 suites, now they want 1. But my main concern is, look, if you have double the occupancy in there, it'll be double the people there. They have a right to put those windows in the back of my property, because as you guys mentioned before, somebody could come and apply it afterwards and put windows all over, and then I'll have double the people in my backyard. The other, mostly, I look over this application and I see no ostensible reason for him to be allowed to have twice the square footage. There's nothing different about his building, nothing different about his yard, because this thing won't be stretched across 3 lots. It'll be all in my backyard. And to tell you the truth, if for something this minor, I would imagine you'd have to present some sort of reason, and I don't see any reason here. If I could describe the building somewhat, this building is 600 square feet on a footprint, and they're proposing to have 2 floors. which is exactly what almost every single laneway suite in the city looks like now. It has a suite upstairs and a garage downstairs, which is what this place is downstairs now. It has garage doors. So I have no idea why he would be requesting double the square footage. This is what everybody's allowed. And the city deemed this to be a requirement for whatever, for density reasons or for whatever, and I don't see why he would be doing this. Now, to be honest with you, I don't have a lot of objections to even his larger suite. I just want, the problem for me is the windows on the back and the fact that at some point in the future he could put windows in there because there are existing windows, and then I am stuck. But right now, I would only have a window to a garage on the main floor and the windows up on the suite upstairs. And if you allowed what the city allows now, that's pretty much it. I don't have any other objections. And to be honest with you, you know, if I could fix the window problem, which it appears I can't, and the owner has spoken to me, I wouldn't even be here.
All right.
Oh, and one other thing, I just want to make clear. When the agent spoke, she seemed to avoid the fact that, in actual fact, there's 2 suites have been reduced to 1, but they're still using all the square footage for living accommodations, and everybody should be aware of that, I think. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. All right, man.
For the speaker? See none? Okay, Roger Sharp, are you here in person? David Johnston? No. Through you, Mr. Chair, we've made multiple attempts. We've even checked online, and neither are in attendance, so we can go back to the agent.
Yes. All right, back to you.
Just wanted to let you know that David Johnson and I have been in correspondence, and he no longer has any issues now that he understands exactly what's going on. With regards to Tim Wong at 127 Withrow, I can confirm 100% that we're not adding another floor. We're not adding to this building. We're renovating the existing building as it stands. As you can see, there is a large building to the right, the 1-story portion that has parking in it, and that whole middle area has room for parking, so there's no impact on his street for visitor parking. And also construction, well, the lot is big enough, there's not going to be any impact on construction on the street. It'll all be done within the courtyard. This is lovely, we've got lots of room this time. We're not fighting for space like we usually are. And then Charles Francis, I did email him as well. And I just want to confirm with him that we are not increasing the footprint of this building again. We are working within an existing building. Right now it's empty. There used to be garages on the bottom floor. The whole 2-story portion is going to be used for residential, and it's only 1 unit. With regards to windows, it's very clear on our drawings that we are blocking all of the windows that are currently glass block, there's not even any real windows in the back on the 2nd floor, and we're only keeping 1 opening, and we've made it a condition of this approval with planning that we would put frosted glass on that window.
Just what I was going to ask, yeah.
To make sure that both my client and the neighbors have privacy. And again, you know, I'm not sure I understand some of Charles's comments, but again, it's not, you know, this is a very unusual lot that it has these existing buildings, and we are just converting and renovating what's there right now.
All right, thank you. Members, any questions or comments for the speaker? No. All right, seeing none. All right, thank you. Yes, it is, but maybe I'm not leaning into it. Thank you. All right, thanks. Perhaps you just sit back for the moment and we'll just have a little discussion here. Members, so certainly changing from 2 garden suites to 1 garden suite, I think, helps the application a lot. Any comments on some of the variances, please, Mr. Clay? Yeah.
Thanks, Chair. I think this is a really good project. This is, I think, a pretty good example of an adaptive reuse of an existing structure that is going to allow for some additional rental accommodation in an existing neighborhood. And I think you've made the point quite clearly that there isn't going to be any incremental change to the building with the exception of the balcony, and the balcony is going to be screened. I don't see this at all having any negative impact beyond what is already there to existing neighbors, and you make the point about parking. It's an unusual site, frankly, but it is in a very desirable neighborhood, and I think introducing additional rental accommodation through a garden suite of this nature makes imminent sense. Peter?
I just have a couple comments to add. Just to commend the applicant on, I think, proactively dealing with issues, right, by blocking up the windows and by putting in the privacy screening, and not leaving that to us to kind of put in as conditions. I think it's a good application, and my sympathies for your sister as well.
So I'm happy to move a motion, Chair, if you like. I'll move a motion to approve the amended application, which is going to be edited and also remove variance number 1. And this is subject to heritage conditions and planning conditions with respect to the frosted glass. I think that's everything. Okay.
And urban forestry, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry, I'm looking at the
Different one? Okay.
None that I can see on that property, yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Very much. A seconder, then, please, that
Yes,
motion?
please.
Yes. Mr. Reed, okay, seconds it. All right. All in favor, then? All right. Yes, you have unanimous. Your application has been approved. Very good. All right, members, I'm suggesting we take a 10-minute break now. It's about 10 after 12 break, and then we'll proceed with the next matter, which looks like it's going to be Cavendish, number 10. Yeah. All right, let's everyone take a 10-minute.
Members, if you can just turn off your videos and
yes.
microphones, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Yeah.
Members, if you can turn on your videos, microphones.
Okay, we're just coming back into session. Everyone okay? Need a little more time?
Through you, Mr. Chair, if you can just turn on your video,
Yes, thank you.
and then we'll proceed with item number 10.
Yes, I see a few persons. Just give them a chance to settle and, all right, moving to item 10 on the morning agenda. 20 Cavendish Street. Here's the purpose: to alter the existing 3-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear 3-story addition, a complete 4-story addition with front and rear balconies, a rear 2nd-story deck, and a rear 3rd-story Juliet balcony. Committee has the following: copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, excuse me. 7 photographs of trees on the property, rendering prepared by the agent, email correspondence in response to opposition from Mr. Abrams, the agent. There's a staff report from Urban Forestry. There's a correspondence of interest from a Ryan Grinnell at 22 Cavendish Street. And opposition. There's correspondence and opposition from persons at 42 Cavendish Street and 24 and 26 Cavendish Street. In addition to that, there's correspondence and opposition from a Matthew Clancy at 22 Cavendish Street.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent here in person. We
Good.
also have 4 registered speakers in opposition online.
All right. Thank you. Just give me a moment here. All right, just calling that up. All right, so could I have your name and address, please? I understand you're acting as agent. Yes.
Yes, my name is Bob Abrahams, and I'm the agent and architect on this file.
Okay.
Before I walk through the variances, you know, we received a lovely letter of support yesterday, unfortunately too late to submit to the file, from the neighbor immediately adjacent to the west, complimenting the design and looking forward to seeing it built.
What's the number?
Yeah, I won't take it in, but what's the municipal number for that?
It is 18 Cavendish Street.
18.
By Julie Evans and Darren Kirkwood.
Okay.
Okay. So.
All right, yeah, so let's just take a look at the variances here. So there are 6 in number. No, I have the wrong, I'm in Cavendish, sorry, that's okay. We're just
5.
Getting all set here.
So, you know, here we're applying a new zoning bylaw to an 80-year-old house on a hill. It's a lovely, lovely old house, but I think that it deserves a little bit of explanation because some of the variances in the new bylaw yield very unexpected results that don't conform to people's perceived reality. And that really arises because the height is measured from the bottom of the hill, so the hill is included in the building height. And then there's knock-on effects from that. So because the height is measured basically from the basement floor level, 8 feet below the first floor, the basement is now considered to be the first floor. The first floor, which everyone, you know, where you enter the house that's above grade, is considered to be the second floor, so on and so forth. So the so-called 4th floor addition is, to anyone's perception, a 3rd floor addition. So it's a little bit unusual to anyone who's not used to. I'm sure the committee understands it. I'm not sure if the neighbors entirely do. And so a lot of these variances are simply triggered because of that renaming of the floors. I'll just start at the front yard setback. We're not changing anything in the front yard. However, because the first floor and its porch are considered now to be the second floor, A porch is not allowed at the second floor, so that contributes to the setback. It's been that way for 80 years, we're not changing it, okay? The max height, yes, we're adding a story. We're seeking a 7-inch variance to the maximum building height at the peak. And somebody erroneously suggested we were adding over 2 meters to the, or 3 meters to the building. We're adding 1.66 meters to the building height. So we need a 7-inch variance on the roof peak. As far as the main wall height at the rear, we are, again, increasing the building height by 1.66 meters, 5 feet 6. And so we are asking for a variance at the back for main wall height. However, in recognition of the intent of the main wall height limit, we've actually sloped the front wall down so that the eave on the new top floor terminates at the second floor level, which is approximately where the eave is now. And as you see from the rendering that we submitted, it really creates a lovely, there's a color rendering we submitted. It creates a lovely contextual, architectural effect when viewed from the street. Okay, so we've done that out of recognition of the concerns about height. In terms of the floor space index, again, basement is exempt from inclusion in floor space index because of this unusual interpretation of stories. Our basement is now included in floor space index, the existing and the additional basement, none of which are perceptible from the exterior. So if you did not include the basement, our variance would be a lot, would be approximately 25% less. In terms of the platforms, again, some neighbors were under the impression that we were adding very large platforms to the upper levels of the house. Well, one of those is the front porch that is now considered to be a non-permitted platform because it's considered to be on the second floor. So we're not touching the front porch. It's always been there. It's now, we need a variance for it. In addition, the back deck that opens off the kitchen into the backyard, which is less than 2 feet above the ground, just a normal wood Canadian backyard back deck at grade, at slightly above grade, is now considered to be a non-compliant platform because it's considered to be the second floor. So my time is up. I think, hopefully I've kind of set everyone's thinking about the reason for these variances. They might look egregious on the face of them, but as you see, they all stem from one thing, which is the inclusion of the hill in the building height.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Members, any questions for the speaker?
Through you, Mr. Chair, at this time, we'll unmute the owner at 26 Cavendish Street.
Okay.
Hi. Thank you. I don't think the neighbors that have filed objections are confused.
Through you, Mr. Chair, sorry, can you please state your first and last name?
Sorry, it's Dan Hirsch, H-I-R-S-H. I live at 26 Cavendish.
Thank you.
I don't think the neighbors that I've spoken to are confused with respect to the height. We understand that the owners of this house are building a third story. Even though it was called a fourth story, we understand that they're adding a full flat roof addition, which is going to be fine from the front. The concern that I think the neighbors have is the size of the addition, the 3-story addition that's being built off the back. It's going to be a massive addition. It's going to be very, very close to an existing tree. And I think the neighbors that I've spoken to are concerned as to the overhang and overviewing effect that this large, very large addition is going to have on our adjoining property. And this homeowner was very, let's say, vigilant in objecting to construction that went on a house beside him on a much, much smaller scale, and ultimately drove that homeowner to finally give up and sell the house to someone else. So I don't think we're asking for anything that is out of character for the area. What we're concerned about is the size of the addition that's being requested will be by far the largest house on the street, and intrusive to people's privacy. Thank you.
All right.
Chair? Yeah, quick question, if I might. Thank you, sir. You said you're 26? Number 26?
Yes, sir.
So you're 3 doors down. Can you share with us what the impact of this proposal would be on you and your property?
Well, we all use our backyard, and this addition will be coming back further than any other house, and obviously much higher than any other house.
So you're concerned...
By far the highest house on the street.
So your concern is the impact of this on your backyard?
Well, that'll be the place that we'll see it most. Driving down the street, everybody has their different taste. I'm not going to comment on people's designs, but certainly the back we'll be looking at a very large 3-story brick wall.
Okay, thank you.
3.5 story.
All right, thanks. We'll move to another speaker.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll unmute the owners at 24 Cavendish Street.
Owner 24 Cavendish. Similar to the last speaker, our main concern is really about the height of the flat roof section at the rear.
Sorry, can you please state your first and last name?
Sorry, I thought it mic'd on.
And are you also speaking on behalf of Lindsay Tracy?
I am also speaking, well, I am speaking on behalf of Lindsay Tracy as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So similar to the last speaker, our concern with the application is the height of the rear of the house, and specifically the flat story at the rear of the house, and having that large wall and overlooking our backyards. I think the other main concern that we had was there's a very large mature tree that is very close to the back of the house, and what the impact of this renovation will have on that tree. Because that tree does provide a lot of privacy for neighboring backyards, and that tree wasn't captured in a number of the tree photos that were submitted as with this application. I just wanted to add, as a final note, we did talk to the homeowners about what they were planning and proposed some small changes that would have allowed us to support this renovation. We had asked them either to consider putting a greater slope at the rear of the house, or having a setback for that 3rd-story addition. But unfortunately, we weren't able to come to an agreement. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay.
For this speaker? See none? Okay, and then we will unmute the owner at 22 Cavendish Street.
Hi, my name is Isabel Alain. I'm speaking on my behalf, and my husband as well, Matthew Jonathan Clancy. We are taking ownership of 22 Cavendish shortly, actually this week. And we obviously, when we read the variances that were suggested, we are concerned about the privacy, obviously, in our neighborhood. The current proposed adjustment to the property, obviously, as the other owners on the street are saying, are bringing the line of the property in the backyard. It extends, obviously, past any other properties, which means that we will be onlooking to a big wall because it's a 3-story and they're adding obviously a 3rd floor. And on top of that, they are also adding a platform on the 4th-story balcony, which obviously is a 3rd-story balcony, but which is way above what the bylaw permits, like 3 times, 4 times the size of it. So, being the immediate neighbor, obviously it's a property that will be overlooking our backyard largely, and our privacy will be affected for sure. And on top of that, you've got the tree also that will be taken down or will be affected. So, I mean, for us, it will be definitely very impactful, and we're opposed to it.
Just had one quick question for you, with respect to your property at 22 Cavendish.
Yep.
Did you say you're recently there? Just didn't quite understand your introduction.
We are taking ownership this week.
You're taking all right, you're just taking ownership this week of it. Okay, thanks. That's
Yep.
helpful. All right, thank you.
Any other questions of this speaker? Okay, through you, Mr. Chair, we can hear back from the agent.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. I'd like to respond to the opposition that we heard. The immediate owner-to-be, new neighbor at 22 Cavendish, has erroneously cited the top floor, the 3rd floor deck, as a matter for the committee's consideration. There is a balcony proposed at the top floor, which is permitted under the bylaw, and we're not seeking a variance for it because it's an appropriate size. Out of neighborly respect, my client has offered to put up 5-foot-high side guards along the side of that balcony to prevent any overlook of the rear yard from that permitted balcony. So if the committee wants to make that a condition, we'd be happy to add those guards. The neighbor has also indicated that we would be moving the build line of the rear backwards inappropriately beyond the others, if I may be paraphrasing a little bit. But we heard that during our negotiations with neighbors, and so prepared an exhibit, which you have. I believe it's on the same PDF as the rendering. Right after the rendering, there's an annotated site plan, which shows that the house at 22 Cavendish, the very house that, there we are. Okay, if you scroll up, we've actually drawn on there the current configuration of the house at 22 Cavendish, whose occupant-to-be we just heard from. We deliberately chose to build our addition to that line so that we would not project. And maybe the confusion arises because the survey is of such a vintage that it did not pick up the neighbor's current footprint, but we've drawn it in. Okay, so that's where we're building to, so that nobody, neither 26, 24, or 22 Cavendish, will be able to view the new addition from their backyards. It meets the building line of the neighbor. Okay. And again, from 24 and 26 Cavendish, I think that concern is even less material because, as was suggested, nobody could even perceive that the addition from 2 doors down or from 3 doors down. Okay. A concern was voiced about the tree behind the building, and it has been said by one of the neighbors or 2 of the neighbors that my clients were vociferous in their calls to protect that tree in prior applications, and indeed they were, because there was a neighbor at 22 Cavendish wanting to do a big addition that might kill their own tree. In this case, we're going through urban forestry. There's going to be an urban forestry condition. There's going to be tree protection required. And everything, urban forestry is going to make sure that we protect it. And certainly my clients are just as vociferous about the tree. However, because it's on their own property for their own project, I don't think they need to raise a fuss because they know themselves that they're going to protect it. So I think that addresses all of the issues that were raised.
All right, thank you. Members, take you back to one matter. The floor space index variance is large, so I just wanted to understand this again. You said the basement is now calculated in that FSI?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
The entire basement, the existing portion and the new portion.
Okay. Members, any questions at all for the agent? All right, I'm seeing none. All right, thank you for your submission, sir. We'll discuss. All right. Members, any comments you want to make or questions on particular variances? And if not, if you're prepared to move. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll start on this one, Chair. My colleagues may want to weigh in. First of all, thanks to everyone who called in and shared their views and the additional information from the agent about, I think it was number 18 that had written in late. I think the agent makes a valid point in that this site is sloped from rear to front, and the basement level is considered to be the first floor. I mean, we're seeing where the determination of the grade is, in this case, requires that this is now technically called a 4-story home, which I think is actually really a 3-story home. The fact that the extension on the rear kind of lines up with the house to, I think it's 22, I think is a reasonable assertion that the impact on that property isn't going to be overly dramatic in terms of overlook or shading. The houses that are further down the street, I frankly don't think they are going to see a dramatic impact on their rear yards beyond what is already there and what it looks like 22 is formed like. The variances, we don't have a length variance. The height variance, I think, to be fair, is a function of where the grade is measured from. So, and it's only a modest increase over the allowable height. The front, I think architecturally is designed to reduce the massing a little bit from the street. It is an elevated property, and so it's already higher than the street level. So, and the houses along that strip, if you look at the peak of their houses, it's roughly the same height. I think the variances that are before us are relatively minor, and I think are a factor or subject to the fact that the nature of the grade on this lot, triggers them to a substantial extent. And I think the fact that the homeowner is prepared to screen the 3rd-story rear deck, I think is a good thing. So, I appreciate the concern, but I can support this application. If anyone has any comments, no, then I will then move approval of this application subject to forestry condition number 2 and a condition that the rear 3rd-story deck has privacy screening.
4th story deck.
Both sides?
I think it'd be the 4th story deck.
You're absolutely right, Peter. Technically, it is the 4-story deck. Has screening. I think let's do it on both sides.
East and west, yeah. I'd second that motion.
Okay.
Peter, in the second that motion. All right. All in favor of that motion to approve with those conditions then? All right.
Member Reed seconds. Thank you.
Wilkins, sorry, I missed it. Yes, approved. Okay. All right.
Forrester, number 2. Yep. Okay.
All right, with those conditions then, the variances are approved.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to number 11. 26 Fern Avenue. Let's try to get there in a moment. Thanks, members. So moving on then to agenda item number 11, we have 26 Fern Avenue. Here's the purpose: to alter the existing 2-story townhouse dwelling by constructing a rear 2-story addition with a rear ground floor deck and stairs. Also to permit the existing front porch, which was constructed without an authorized building permit. Committee has the following in communications: copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans and elevations, a covering letter from the agent, a tree protection plan. We have a staff report from Urban Forestry, and just an advisory report from Metrolinx. We have appears to be correspondence in support from 2 persons, on one at 24 Fern Avenue and one at 28 Fern Avenue. Yeah.
We do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
Very good, yes.
At this time, we'll unmute the agent.
Hello, good afternoon now. My name is Michael Forang. I'm the agent representing the owners at 26 Fern, co-founder of Odami, and located at 174 Spadina Avenue.
Okay. And I see that there are 5 variances before us. Perhaps in a concise way, you can tell us about your project and why these variances are needed.
Yeah, absolutely. So the existing property is a small 2-story townhouse, and the clients are simply looking to add a modest amount of space as they look to add to their family and make the home more functional. So rather than building up, which we thought would impact the streetscape too much, we collectively decided to add a small 2-story addition to the rear of the building only and leave the front completely intact. There are 2, the first 2 variances are in relation to that. The FSI goes up, and we have built beyond the permitted building depth. Yes. But we do believe that these are quite modest in size. We really tried to keep it to as little as possible. We really only added 5.59 square meters of livable space, but this is enough to add another bedroom to the 2nd floor and extend the basement out as well to add more living space, potential for a 3rd bedroom down there as well. The last 3 variances all relate to the front porch and the landscaping, which were existing when our clients purchased the house in 2020, which was shown in the supporting documentation. Our clients actually only learned that this was done without a permit going through this process. So these variances are simply looking to allow that to remain intact. We do believe that it's clear in the supporting documentation that the landscaping was done with great care and has been maintained with great care. And it's also important to point out that the front porch actually aligns with those of the adjacent neighbors, which you can see in the survey. And we also just thought it was important to point out that our clients, the homeowners, have been in contact with their neighbors throughout the process. And as such, they have the supporting letters from the neighbors on either side of them, which would be the most impacted by the rear addition. So they have been very proactive. They have done their very best to be as respectful as of the neighborhood as possible.
Yes. All right, thank you. I guess then, I think you're saying that the front porch is built without the building permit, and I take it that's why it's unfortunate, but in terms of front yard landscaping, you know, there's some clear deficiencies there.
Yeah, exactly. That was existing when they purchased the home. So really, it's the concrete walkway up to the house, which, you know, this is sort of meandering thing for a little bit of front yard interest, I guess. The clients have expressed that they would be happy to make sure that they go over the requirement in the rear to sort of augment this, if that were required.
They could increase soft landscaping in the rear yard, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That might be a good idea.
But so it looks like from the photograph you've submitted that you've done a fair amount of landscaping on the public side, on the boulevard?
I mean, we haven't. That was already there. And
Yeah, no, I'm not criticizing. I actually think it's quite attractive.
Yes.
It really looks good. So I think even though you're definitely, I mean, you've got one of those situations where the property line is pretty close to your front steps. So there's really limited opportunity for you to introduce more landscape. But my view would be you've made it up, or your clients made it up quite lovely on the boulevard. So I don't have any problem with the front yard landscaping.
Okay. Members, any other comments or questions?
No, thanks.
Okay, just,
I'm happy to move a motion to approve this with urban forestry condition 2. I think there's not a lot of choice for a narrow lot like this, but for moving backwards, and I think it's a sensitive plan to the context around it. If you take a look at some of the photographs that were submitted in the presentation package, you can see that there are also extensions towards the back. I think it fits context of the neighborhood. The numerical changes are not that great overall, and I think it's good planning.
mm-hmm. And it appears to be an urban forestry condition as well?
Yeah, urban forestry too.
That, Chair?
That, all right. All right, all in favor of that? I think I can vote. Yes. And that is approved, Madam Treasurer. Mm-hmm. Okay. Number 12, on to number 12. We move on to number 12, 44 COADY Avenue. The purpose of this application is to alter the existing two-story detached dwelling by constructing a front ground floor addition, a partial porch enclosure with reconfigured stairs. So it doesn't seem to be too intensive. Committee has, again, the plans per se, 2 photographs of trees on the subject property, and presentation materials from Mr. Brian O'Brien as agent.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
All right, Mr. O'Brien, are you there? Sorry.
Agent.
Yeah.
Yes, hello.
So as I was mentioning trees, yeah, I don't see any urban forestry condition required here, so, yeah. Okay.
Chair, I don't need a presentation.
Don't need a presentation here? All right, all right. All right, thank you, sir. Just ask you to stand by then. Thank you. Okay. Members, you want to put forward a motion? Yep, okay,
Sure,
Mr. Reed. Yep.
I can. I think this is a very minor application that's before us, and I can see no negative impact. I think that the one thing that the applicant has done is by including glazing on the south side of the enclosure, I think that contributes to transparency for the enclosed part of the porch, and I think that that's a positive thing. So I move approval of the application without condition.
Is there a seconder for that? Mr. Clay, all right. All in favor then? The voting is? It's approved. You have your approval to those variances, sir? Okay. 73 goes there, 13. More Jesus. On to item 13, 173 Gloucester Grove. Purpose of the application then, bear with me here. Purpose is to alter the existing two-story detached dwelling by constructing a front two-story, partially cantilevered addition to enclose a portion of the existing front porch, with a covered front porch with stairs, and a rear two-story addition, partially cantilevered at the southeast portion, with a rear ground floor deck and stairs. Also to construct a two-story ancillary building, two-car garage with storage, and I see one laneway suite above, so sorry. Just on that, then a two-story ancillary building, and appears that the second floor will be a one laneway suite. In the rear yard of the building, abutting the laneway. Existing garage to be demolished. There'll be a total of 3 dwelling units on this lot, 2 dwelling units within the main house, and 1 dwelling unit within the laneway suite. Committee has before it copy plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have a revised site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have a revised zoning notice received June 10th. We have a redlined public hearing and notice, 3 photographs of the subject property, cover letter from the agent. In terms of commenting agencies, etc., we have a report from Urban Forestry. We've got just an advisory report from Metrolinx. And opposition, there's correspondence and opposition from 630 Oakwood Avenue, Amaya Madzinski.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agents here in person, no registered speakers for this item.
No registered speakers, I see. Okay, hi there. Good afternoon. This is you there. All right, 73 Gloucester.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and fellow committee members. My name is Roshan Thurgan-Sumter. I'm a planner at Design Plan Services, located at 900 the East Mall, Suite 300, and I am the authorized agent.
And through you, Mr. Chair, I am here with my colleague David Eagleman, also of the same address, Design Plan Services.
This is all right, okay.
So before providing presentation, I would like to make a friendly amendment to the public notice. So we have consulted with planning staff and have made revisions to their satisfaction, and I have submitted a redlined public notice. So through consultation, we have eliminated variance number 2 and number 9.
It's just been called up here, I see, sorry. The 2 and number 9 will be deleted, eh? All right.
And we have revised variance number 8 and increased the soft landscaping from 57.57% or 34.82 square meters to 69.57%, which is 46.3 square meters.
I'm sorry, which variance is that, just as I...
Variance number 8.
Number 8, okay. All right. All right, all right.
So have you eliminated the deck or just made it smaller?
We've made it smaller.
Okay.
Eliminated the dormer, good. Good to see those revisions, I think. Members, do you need a brief presentation?
I don't, no thanks.
All right, okay. All right, thanks, gentlemen. We'll just ask you to hold in for a moment. Yeah, just catching up on a few things here. Members, any discussion? Otherwise, I'd consider a motion if one is brought forward. This is,
I can start, Chair.
all right.
I think this is a good application. I think, I mean, I was a little bit worried about the length of the main building, but I think that it does fit in with the pattern of development in this area, and I think it works. It's a pretty intensive use of the site, but I think that the variances that are required for that are pretty small, and particularly with the removal of 2 and with the improvement of variance number 8. I think that that this is a supportable application. So I'm going to move approval of it, subject to urban forestry condition number 3.
So be approving the amended application.
Pardon me, yes, as amended.
Amended application, subject here before, is there a seconder?
Yeah, I'll just to add a comment. I think, you know, this is walkable to, I guess it's what will be the Eglinton subway eventually. So it is a kind of a good neighborhood to do the kind of intensification Peter talks about.
Okay.
And I would also note that the suite, laneway suite is almost as of right? So, I mean, that's pretty good. You try and fit these things into the envelope that the bylaw is actually trying to achieve, so that's good on you. I think, I agree with Peter. I think it's a pretty good application. I'd second that.
Second that, all right. All in favor then? All right, gentlemen, you have your amended approval.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you. Yes, it was a late start on our day, but we're doing the best we can here. Okay. On to agenda item number 14, 31 Gardiner Road. It is the purpose to construct a new 3-story detached dwelling with a front integral garage, a front covered porch, a rear ground floor terrace and outdoor room, as well as a rear 3rd-story balcony. An in-ground swimming pool and a hot tub will also be constructed in the rear yard. The committee has before it to plan a survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, an arborist report. There are presentation materials from Georgina Myers as agent. In terms of comments, we have transportation engineering, urban forestry staff report. Again, just an advisory report from Metrolinx. We have one opposition. We have correspondence and opposition from Bernie Schwartz and Harriet Collins at 8 Chadwick Avenue.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have David Bronscale online speaking on behalf of this application. We also have the owners at 8 Chadwick Avenue here in person that will be speaking in opposition.
Okay, very good. I'm just going to take a moment.
At this time, we'll unmute David Bronscale.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
With you for the day, it seems.
Yes.
333 Bay Street, Suite 3400, Toronto, Ontario, acting as agent for the applicant on this file. We do have a short presentation set of slides for you, Mr. Chair.
I think we should proceed with them. Yeah, I think there are 7 variances. Yeah. Okay.
They are, and I would group them maybe into variances at the front, FSI length depth may be together, and then side yard variances. I'm going to start with the side yard variances because I did note in the letter of concern from the neighbors at 8 who were there that they expressed a concern with the side yard variance. If I could ask staff's indulgence just to pull up page 2 of our presentation. As the committee may be familiar with this presentation, the green is the existing house. You can see its existing length. The red would be an as of right envelope. And then the structure is shown in the black heavy line, and then the outdoor room and terrace are shown at the back. And through Mr. Chair, Mr. Clay had asked me in a previous application on another panel about the sort of porosity of the outdoor room, and I can advise that there aren't walls, for example, on that outdoor room. There is a covered roof, but the elevations are slightly misleading. You can see the 1-story bump out on the elevations, but otherwise there are pillars and a roof for that outdoor room. On the side yard variances, I would just note that what is being sought is entirely consistent with what's in the neighborhood, and as evidence of that on the survey, you can see that to the one side at 33, there are side yards, existing side yards of 0.93, and to the south at 8, you can see there's existing side yards of 0.12 with the standard chimney bump out, reducing that down to 0.88. So what is being proposed in terms of side yard setbacks here is entirely consistent with the side yard setbacks for both neighbors, including those speaking in opposition. You can see the red line existing in the top right, the red line of the as of right in the top right. The corner of the structure is essentially where you would contemplate a corner of the structure next to number 8. So it's not extending in terms of the massing there any further than would be permitted as of right. On the next slide, we included, for the committee's benefit, some length and depth measurements for the house in a simplified format. The ground floor length from the bump out at the front of the house all the way to the back of the one-story projection, which is slightly beyond the as of right. You can see that's the length of 20.92. You can then see on the second floor, again, from the bump out area of the second floor to a small bump out at the back, there's 18.91, but main wall to main wall, it's 17.08 if you take out those projections. And then you can see the third floor has a length of 15.51 meters, quite frankly standard building lengths. And this is not one of the building lengths or depths involving underground structures. The final, and then just related to that story, Mr. Chair, we included at page 4, just from a quantitative perspective, the density numbers for the area directly to the north, 87.5, a number of variances for FSI in the neighborhood in the 8s, all within, frankly, the range of what's being proposed here. The one thing I would just note for the committee, if you go to the last page and just see the rendering, there are no height variances. There are dormers enabling the third floor GFA to be deployed for the site. That's 73.5 square meters. The overall FSI, if you eliminated that third floor, so you kept that same massing that you see there in front of you, but didn't have the third floor FSI, that resulting FSI would actually be 0.76. So this house itself is not overly large. It's just some of the GFA that is being deployed is in the roof line or the third floor. Last thing, Mr. Chair, I would just say is the front yard setback, I'm going to suggest you as a technical because of the alignment of the street. Some of the house is in front of the front yard setback. Some of it is behind the proposed front yard setback. And it frankly helps mitigate having to push the house further back on the lot in terms of length. And so we think it's a good solution to have the staggered front yard where some of it exceeds the front yard setback and some of it does not. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Members, any questions, Mr. Brasco? Fine then, Madam Deputy Secretary, I think we'll move to our speakers who are here present. So I wonder if you could just introduce yourselves and give your name and address. And
Sure. Excuse me, my name is Bernie Swartz, 8 Chadwick Avenue, Toronto.
And yeah, I just don't have a map. Is Chadwick behind? I'm just trying to think of it in terms of its position.
It's to the south. We share the lot line. Our north lot line, running this way, is their south lot line.
The location map is presented on the screen.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you.
Our house faces south, and it's the rectangular. So the front of our house is and then the north.
Okay, we got that.
They face different ways.
All right. What are your views with respect to these the application of this?
So we've lived here 23 years. We're their next door neighbors, and frankly, we're very unhappy with this proposal to demolish and rebuild such a large home. And it's our feeling, you know, when we bought this house, Forest Hill Village was planned and there was lots of sunlight and privacy between the houses, a sense of low density, spaciousness, and this goes against all those things. We think that a permitted floor space index that's of 65% should be adhered to. It's the reason the village is nice, and to exceed that by 37%, to me, it just doesn't good. And the same with the building length. It's 12 feet longer. That's probably the distance between me and the chairman. the exceeding the side yard setbacks are another issue for us. The home 31 Gardiner had a very serious fire about 12 years ago. Fortunately, there's a driveway separating us right now. The fire didn't come over the driveway, but I know your setback requirement is 4 feet or, but we love that driveway there just as space. And also for drainage issues. We want to make sure that whatever's built there, that they take care of their own snow melt and rainfall, and that stays on their lot and doesn't come down onto ours. At the moment, there's a retaining wall built along the lot line to keep water out, and that's a major concern of ours.
Something is an issue that we'll be looking at more closely at the building permit stage.
Of course.
As opposed to committee, yeah. Mhm.
Can I speak?
Go
Okay,
ahead.
I need your glasses. Thank you. So as you can see, our house is in a different angle than the house that is at 31 Gardiner Road. The whole back of our house abuts that property, which will now be one large wall. All the windows of our house facing north will now be blocked off. We will only get light from the south and a little bit from the west, because as you can see, our house is narrow. We have no windows on the east side of our house. So half of our house, our bedrooms, our kitchen, our den, our office will all be blocked in by a wall. That is a huge, huge problem and makes a huge impact on our life. And to say that, well, the neighborhood, we're the neighbors. We're not just the neighborhood. We're the neighborhoods. We will now have nothing but a wall to look out on at half our house. I think that is egregious, absolutely egregious.
Yeah, these aren't minor variances to us. These are very major
This is our life,
concerns.
this is our home, and this is why we have bylaws to protect them. And I frankly find it insulting that the whole neighborhood is doing this, so it doesn't matter. Most of the houses have a front and a back, and they're all lined up. Our house is not like that. And if you look at the other houses that are on the corners, the houses next to them have much more space in between. And if they want to build on, they build on just in the middle, so that the homes on the south-facing or on the north-facing side are not all abut by another building. And this is a huge, huge adverse cause, or will be result to our home and our living. That's our major.
All right, thank you. Members, any questions for either of the speakers? Homeowners there? No, all right.
So just in looking at your, the configuration, so your outdoor amenity area, your backyard is really sort of like a side yard, right?
Right,
So
it's a side yard.
It's along Chadwick.
Right.
And it's to the east, yeah.
Okay, but you don't really use what would be your backyard because it's too narrow, obviously. So that's,
Right.
your biggest concern is
Is our
loss of light.
home.
And you said, and the map shows that the proposal is north of you.
Yes.
Right, so it's not on the south.
No.
All right, thank you.
The length of the house, the proximity to our house is the whole length of it's the whole width of our house. Takes away half our house.
All right, thank you. I think we'll return to the agent.
Yes.
All right. Yes, Mr. Brownskill still on the line? Are you there?
Yeah, I am here, Mr. Chair, and if staff don't mind putting up that page 2 again of the proposal, because I mean, first of all, I've sat in the chair where the neighbors are sitting, and I can tell you, Mr. Chair, it's way more than a distance of 12 feet from that chair to where the chair sits in that room. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure the 12 feet in terms of the length is being accurately understood by the neighbors in opposition.
It's substantial, though.
I apologize, Mr. Chair. I didn't interrupt the other
Sorry.
speakers, so if I could have the same courtesy, I would appreciate it.
Yes.
The wall of the house is that red, essentially the red line, the as of right, and it does not extend as far back as number 8. There's then the 1-story outdoor room. There will still be light on that rear portion of number 8, indirect light, because through you, Mr. Chair, as Mr. Clay noted, that's not where the sun is, but there will be indirect light on that portion of the north face. But that's not the main rear amenity area. The backyard's to the east, and it will not be impacted by view, light, or shadow in terms of the relationship of the buildings. And in fact, the rear wall of the proposed outdoor room is just not quite as long as the building length for number 8. So you can see where on the survey where their rear wall is, it actually is slightly further extended beyond the outdoor room. So I actually think these are set up well together as contemplated for side yards. And Mr. Chair, I think that's all I have to say in response. The size is largely consistent with the as of right in terms of setbacks and building lengths. We acknowledge the variance for 20.92. We've indicated it's the first floor. The FSI is consistent with what is being improved. And if that third floor GFA, as I noted to you, was not deployed in the third floor, it would actually be much smaller than what's being approved in the area. So I do think it actually fits in terms of the nature of these side yard relationships between the houses.
Can we speak? Okay.
Thanks for that. No, I'm not taking it. Members, yes. Question?
Thanks, Chair. Mr. Bronskill, you and I have had this discussion about these rear open sunrooms, and it seems to be a characteristic of Mr. Wengel's designs. But I'm just looking at the south and or the north elevation, and could you just, you said that those sides are open, and I'm struggling with the elevations to get that sense. It looks like they're closed with a window.
That window you're seeing is the 1-story bump out on the elevation. So do you see on the site plan in front of you, it says outdoor room, and then you go a little bit to the left and there's the 1-story bump out?
Yes.
That window face you're seeing is the window on that. That's why I'm saying the elevations are unfortunately, they're elevations. They do what they can, but they don't give you that right sense, because that, I acknowledge, that looks like a wall and enclosure, but you can see the thin line on the elevation. That's also the eastward extent of that 1-story bump out. And then the white space is the open space under the roof. So it is open there, but you do see the window of the 1-story bump out there pushed further back.
Right, so it presents more or less like what would otherwise be a canopy in some...
Canopy, pergola, I'm trying to think of the right description for it, but it's open with a roof.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd acknowledge through you, Mr. Chair, that a 3D rendering of that here would have been helpful to understand how that 1-story enclosed bump out is set off against the outdoor room.
Right, and the length is the length that bump out, not necessarily the open room.
Correct. The length is to the back of the bump out. That's what the variance is to permit.
Right, and that
the outdoor room doesn't have any variances to it.
Okay, thank you.
Other members, sorry, any further questions, Mr. Bronskill?
For me, thanks.
All right, thanks, everyone. I'll just ask you to stand by while we consider it. Just going to check on. Okay. To be, yes, a number of urban forestry conditions, just wanted to see that. All right, members, any discussion, or does someone want to proceed with a motion?
Chair, I think we should have a bit of discussion, just given the fact that there are neighbors here who
Yes.
made some meaningful comments. I do believe, though, that I think the variances that are being requested are minor, and that the impact of what would be approved over what's currently permitted is small. I think that's the thing. This house is going to be a lot bigger than the house that's currently there. But I don't think it's going to be significantly larger than what is permitted. I think the agent did talk about the GFA that's in the third floor. And I mean, I think this is the challenge with GFA often, is that it's, if that third floor was not living space, but it would look exactly the same from the outside, that GFA number would be much, much less. I think the length variance is mitigated by the fact that it does step down at the back, that the length is to that bump out at the back, as the agent said. And then there is some transparency in that rear outdoor room that they talk about. And frankly, the length of this is lined up with the house to the south. So I understand the concerns of the neighbor, and I sympathize with that, but I do think what's being requested is fair. So I don't know if my colleagues have anything to add.
Yeah, I'll just, thank you. I'll just weigh in. Thank you very much for coming down. And we did hear your comments. They're important. But I would agree with what my colleague has said about this application. It is a kind of an angled lot, so there is a bit of a kind of an anomaly in terms of length. And this one, we have seen, quite frankly, some of those outdoor rooms, which, you know, have a chimney breast in it and a whole bunch of other things. And frankly, it does present very much as an extension of the room. This one is different. And it is going to be an impact, there's no doubt about it. But, you know, the property that is concerned about this is to the north. So, you know, I'm not sure that is going to be a terrible imposition. And I do think that the variances that are before us are relatively minor. So I appreciate the concern, but I think in this neighborhood, this is the kind of development that is increasingly being proposed, and it's pretty consistent with what we're seeing throughout the broader neighborhood. So I will be supporting it as well.
Yeah, I suppose my thoughts are that I absolutely understand that the length of 20.92 meters seems big, but I think that the applicant did try and confine that massing further away from the Chadwick property. And in terms of the side yard setbacks, if they had been able to put this plan as of right, come up with an alternative, I think we're talking about 30 centimeters difference. And I don't see from what is permitted that what is proposed would have a major impact. So I tend to fall in line with Larry and Peter.
Can I clarify something?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think you can at this point, ma'am. We're just
Through you, Mr. Chair, we're in committee.
all right, then. I appreciate all three comments. Does someone want to put forward a motion? I'll just say the length does bother me in terms of impact on neighbors, but that's simply my view. Is there a motion then to be?
Sure, I'll bring a motion for the reasons I said and that my colleagues mentioned too. I'll move approval of the application subject to the urban forestry conditions, and also I would like to tie it to the site plan to capture the length and depth, being specific to the bump out and not to an entire width for that.
All right, Mr. Clay, you second that. All right, all in favor then of that?
I'm sorry.
And Madam Deputy Secretary, one dissent from me, okay? Thank you. That matter then has been approved with those conditions. We move to item 15. Still have a number of morning items on the agenda to deal with as the day gets a little later. So we're on to item 15. Sorry. I've moved on to 17 METCALFE Street. Here's the purpose: to alter the existing 2 1/2 story townhouse dwelling by constructing a rear 3rd story addition above the existing rear 2-story portion of the dwelling. Committee has survey, site plan, and elevations. We have 4 photographs of the subject property. And we have email correspondence with Heritage from Trevor Wallace, who's an agent. We have a guide map for letters of support, so I guess we'll have to see that. Support has me this correspondence from another person on METCALFE Avenue, 12 METCALFE Avenue, and we have 8 form letters in support signed by owners of occupants of, I'll just mention METCALFE Street, Milling Street, and Carlton Street.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers on this item. Not sure if the members need a motion or you can just move into straight questions.
I understand. I'm just going to call up the agenda for myself. 2 variances. Just a second. Oh, they do not appear to be huge members. I suggest we don't need any. All right. 2 variances. Of course, mathematics is not our only matter to consider, but they're quite small here. Yes. Can we hear a motion then? Put forward a motion?
Or maybe let's just unmute the agent.
Right.
Hi, Trevor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee.
Hi
If
there.
you can just introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Trevor Wallace, and I'm the applicant for 17 METCALFE with regards to the extension of the existing 3rd floor.
Yes, I'll just mention, just in terms of the correspondence that I saw for the city, everything seemed to be in support. To your knowledge, is there any, is there anyone in opposition that you're aware of?
Not at this time. We checked in with the application manager 2 days ago to see if there was anyone who had issues that we could address in advance of today's hearing, but to the best of our understanding, as of today, there are no one in opposition.
That appears to be the case, yes.
I'm happy to move forward a motion here to approve. I think numerically the numbers are very small, and looking at how those numbers are employed on the designs and plans, it's hard to picture any adverse impact here, and I think that's supported by the lack of objections, and I believe there's support as well. Am I right?
There's no urban forestry condition.
Quite a lot of support. So, I believe there are no conditions. So. That's the motion to approve with no conditions.
I'll second that, Chair.
All right, all in favor then of that? All right, that is passing, Madam Chair. Okay.
Thank you very much, committee and committee chair. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. You're welcome. Moving on then, panel to 1632 Nanton Avenue. Try to read these as quickly as I can here. To alter the existing 2 1/2 story detached dwelling by constructing a rear 2-story addition, a rear ground floor bay window, and a rear ground floor deck with stairs. The existing rear ground floor addition, a sunroof, and a rear ground floor deck with stairs will be demolished. The existing shed in the rear yard will be maintained. Committee has upon a survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a cover letter from the owners, arborist report, tree plan. There's a staff report from urban forestry, and there is support. A 10 signature petition in support signed by owners or occupants of 23, 30, 34, 36, and 41 Nanton Avenue, as well as 1, 5, 11, and 15, and 40 Hawthorne Avenue received.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the owner here in person, no registered speakers for this item.
All right. All right, the owner just like to come to the mic and just confirm name and address for us.
Hi there, my name is Stephanie Amos Foinescos, and it's 32 Nanton Avenue.
Here in person, thank you.
Yes, I'm here.
Good for you. All right. Members, is there any need for a presentation? Any issues or questions?
Just a quick question, Chair. Maybe you could just give us a little bit of an overview of the length and depth. I mean, your length is a little bit beyond what is required. So maybe you could just speak to that for us?
Sure, so the lawfully existing length currently is 18.67 meters, and the proposed is 19.46. If you include the furthest length of the bay window, it's 19.66. That's in alignment with the addition of our neighbors to the direct south of us.
Yeah, that's fine. I thought that was the case. I just wanted to make sure that we understood what the existing was versus what you're actually proposing, and it's just a modest increase.
Okay.
Yep, okay, thanks.
And there's an urban forestry condition, you're aware of that, and that's acceptable?
Sorry, which is the urban forestry?
Sorry, there's a forestry condition, item number 2, so perhaps there's a private tree that has to be applied for in terms of injury or...
This is the birch tree?
I'm not sure of the tree, but I'm just saying urban forestry is asking for a condition, and it's very likely that the committee would impose that.
Through you, Mr. Chair, it just means that you have to contact urban forestry and they'll explain what is required.
Okay, so over and above the
That's true
arborist
then,
that
yeah.
we've already contacted?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do
Even
that.
if you do trimming, like you might damage the tree, so they have to give you a permit for that.
Got it, yeah.
All right, thank you. Members then, do you want to deal with the matter by motion?
I'm happy to bring a motion, Chair. As the owner mentioned, this is a minor increase in length and depth to the existing house. It is wider, but I think it's tastefully done and is in line with the neighbor's recent addition as well. It fits in with the neighborhood, and I think the variances are minor. So I move approval subject to urban forestry condition 2.
I'll second.
All right. Wallace, yeah, okay. Sorry, folks, just need to check one thing. Yeah. Okay, all in favor then? Is that, yes, that is through, ma'am. So you have the minor variance approval, subject to that urban forestry condition.
Sounds good. And do you send that to me following today, the approval, or I apply?
Yes, the notice of decision will be sent to you next week.
Okay,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much.
Email and check, but yeah, there'll be a written decision available.
Thank you.
Coming down.
Yes, indeed. All right, we have 17, MCROBERTS Avenue. That's a new name. All right, to alter the existing 2-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a front ground floor addition, a partial porch enclosure with an extended front stair landing. Also to construct a rear ground floor deck with stairs. So we've got a porch and deck. The committee just has a few things before it. Again, survey site plan, floor plans, and elevations. 5 photographs of the property and a tree inventory. And I'm just checking. Yeah, don't see any urban forestry request here.
Through you, Mr. Chair, no urban forestry conditions for this one. We do have the agent online,
Good.
no registered speakers for this item. Not sure if the members need a presentation, but we will unmute the agent at this time.
Thank you, yes.
Hi, sorry. Christine DeLuca, 511 McRoberts. I'm one of the owners. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Just a moment here. So there are just 2 variances that you're seeking in connection with the proposed construction then. front ground floor addition and rear ground floor deck with stairs. Okay, let's just see here.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just while you're reviewing that, I'm just going to make an announcement that the committee are still reviewing the morning session because we were delayed by 1 hour because of technical issues. We're on to our second last item, and then the committee needs to break for lunch. So it appears that we will not be started until shortly after 2:30 for the PM applications, okay? So you can leave and then come back for 2:30. Okay, thank you.
All right, just on McRoberts here, and then just do you want to just address the front yard setback is being changed? Why don't you speak to that?
Christine, that's a question to you.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I was muted.
Okay.
Yes, so it's a small enclosure on our existing porch, just to make our lives a little bit better because we have aging parents and small children. So that enclosure will just allow us to put a first floor washroom. So it is already on our existing porch. And we've talked to both neighbors on either side, and they haven't raised any issues. They say everything looks good. So we're just really hoping today that you can help us with this.
Members, I'm in your hands then.
Am I right in understanding that there's a similarly enclosed porch at 587?
There are many enclosed porches on this street. There's one across the street. There's a few on our side. It seems to be the thing that everybody is doing.
Okay. Members, I would entertain a motion.
Well, I'm happy to move a motion to approve. I think it's a modest change to this home. It doesn't look like it's going to have a lot of impact on the streetscape given the prevailing character of the neighborhood, which does include these types of ports and enclosures. So I believe the variance is minor. It's in keeping with the bylaws and the plan.
I'll second that, Chair.
All right, all in favor? All right. That is approved. There was no condition. All right, last matter from the morning agenda. We'll try to be ready with 311 Manning Avenue. And here's the, let's call it up myself, and then we'll just get to the, Yes, so and the purpose of this application, 311 Manning, is to alter the existing two-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear second-story addition with a rear second-story balcony. Also to construct a two-story detached ancillary building, said to be a two-car garage with study, gym, and bathroom on the second story in the rear yard of the property abutting the laneway. The existing garage will be demolished. The committee has a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 2 photographs of the property. There are some comparables put forward by the agent, Andrew Miskiv. And finally, there's a declaration, a completed declaration of use form. All right.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
Right.
Not sure if the members need a presentation.
Just ask that person to.
Agent at this time. Andrew?
Hi, yes, it's Andrew Miskiv.
Yourself, Andrew?
Hi, my name is Andrew Miskiv from.
Sorry, you'll need to speak a little bit louder. We can't hear you.
My name is Andrew Miskiv from AM.
Just a little bit louder, maybe move closer to the microphone.
Hi, my name is Andrew Miskiv.
Hi, Andrew. Just speak up just a little louder, please. Closer as you can to the mic.
I'm from AM Design Build Inc., located at 347 James Street in Toronto.
Yeah.
Then I'm the agent for this application.
And there are 7 variances before. It's just one question I had with respect to that ancillary building then. So it's It's really a live-in situation there, as I said. It says for a study, gym, and bathroom on the second story.
Correct, yes.
Sorry, for clarification purposes, you've used the term live-in,
Yes.
Chair, and I
Yeah.
want to clarify
Sure.
exactly. This isn't an accommodation, right?
No, it's not intended for sleeping in. It's just for daytime use as an office, work from home office, and a small gym.
It's not a laneway suite as we would talk about them.
No, it's not.
Is that a no?
It will not be a laneway suite, no.
All right, sorry about that. All right, members, there are 7 variances.
Chair, I have a question, if I might.
Yeah, please.
So I was just going up and down the lane that your ancillary structure will be on. I don't see any other 2-story structures. It looks like it's predominantly single-story. Is that your understanding? Are you aware of any other 2-story?
Yes, I provided a document that has 2-story garages, both on Euclid. One is on the same laneway as this project. Yes, there it is.
Okay, are those laneway suites?
No, because these blocks are so large, they cannot have laneway suites. It wouldn't meet the access requirements.
Just on your materials, if you take us, there's mention of comparables, where I guess you're saying they're committee of adjustment precedents that you want to draw our attention to. Yeah, is that in your materials? Can we look at it?
Yeah, I'm just looking for where they are in proximity to this application.
Sure.
I can walk you through it. On the bottom one, the red garage, my client's house is on the left of that. So you can see the green highlighted lot. Yeah, that's the one. And this one's at the southern end in pink.
Sorry, I'm not seeing those.
Yeah, so it's,
Right there. That's that lot.
It's right there, Chair. So
Okay, yes, okay. Seeing there, right.
And the other one, the one that's on top, like?
The other one is north of College. It's on the same street on Euclid. And it's about 12 houses in.
Okay, so you may or may not agree, but I'm going to suggest that those 2 structures are some distance from your clients. Okay, thank you.
The block that my client is on, it stretches from College to Dundas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
I just
please.
have a couple questions.
Yeah.
To the applicant, the soft landscaping variance, number 4, you're really short on that, and I'm just wondering why you haven't made an effort to improve that situation. I know there's existing pavers, but there's a lot of opportunity to improve that.
The existing wooden deck accounts for roughly, I think it's 14%. And it is permeable in nature, but it doesn't count towards this number. So it's a fairly large wooden deck.
Okay. The other question is, because this is a 2-story proposed laneway suite, or what looks like a laneway suite, can you talk about how that would line up with if this were for accommodation, how that would line up with the laneway suite bylaw in terms of setback from the house and setbacks from the rear?
Right, so I made sure that all these conditions were met. So it has the full meter setback from the laneway. It would of course need more grass if it was a proper laneway house. But otherwise, we were asking for height of 5.75 versus the 6.3 that the laneway house would require. In every other sense, it would meet those requirements.
Sorry, I didn't catch what you just said there, the last part.
It would meet all the requirements except for the soft landscaping.
Okay. And how far is it from the main house? So it's over 7.5 meters?
Oh, yes, yeah, it's a big distance. Let me check.
Okay, it's not a...
11.8 meters.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. And Madam Deputy Secretary, there's no further speaker on this. Is that right?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no.
No, okay. Members?
Just open with a comment.
Committee, yes, committee.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll just open with a comment. It seems where the idea of the bylaw not to permit an ancillary building for living accommodation. So, I mean, asking for a change from that, I think when you look at this as just an extension of the house, like it's sort of, to me, it makes it look like the addition to the altered dwelling actually underestimates the floor space index of the lot, because it's basically just dividing the house in two, if you know what I mean. And so the variance seems to be much bigger than the numbers suggest to me in terms of like the living space that's going to be now on this property. And it's hard to, I mean, it's hard for me to see how it fits within the bylaw and the intent of the bylaw, like, because the one, asking for the one sort of exacerbates the other. But I mean, that's just a thought I had when I was reading through the application.
You're saying you'd like to consider the floor space on the second floor of the garage as GFA, essentially.
Yeah, like, I mean, where the bylaw is trying to say you can't use the ancillary building as a dwelling, and then this is actually asking for that permission, but with what's going on with the house and expanding it, the actual overall sort of massing of dwelling space on the property is greater than the 0.75 times.
Right.
Requested. So I feel it's a little bigger than it presents, but the lot itself is quite large as well. So I mean, that was just a thought that I wanted to throw out.
Can I make 2 comments?
No.
One, if you look at the location
We're
map,
in committee,
garages-
sir. Yeah, we can't, so, all right.
Chair, I'll add to that. I'm, members that have seen me deal with these in the past will not be surprised when I register concern for ancillary dwellings or ancillary buildings which exceed the height where it doesn't provide the public good of a laneway suite or accommodation. I just fundamentally disagree with that, because I think it's an imposition on the neighbors without a public benefit. So I think I've said that many times in the past. But in this case, I don't think there are similar dwellings in the immediate vicinity. I think it's characterized pretty uniformly as single-story garages in the back that don't exceed 4 meters. To Peter's point about the soft landscaping, it's a very significant and dramatic shortfall on soft landscaping. And if you're going to be doing this kind of construction, it seems to me an effort to try and increase that would be appropriate. I just have difficulties with this proposal for the overall massing of it. And the impact on the neighbors, even though we haven't seen any correspondence opposing it. I totally agree with having massing in the rear for laneway suites and garden suites, because I do think it adds to the rental stock, but this doesn't. And I think the massing as a consequence is inappropriate. So I won't be supporting this application.
Yeah, I actually agree with you, Larry, and yes, you have said that before. But And I haven't always agreed with you, but I think in this case, even though the garage ostensibly fits within the kind of built form envelope of a permitted laneway suite, I do agree that there's the kind of public benefit side. And the fact that there's just been no effort to make an improvement. The soft landscaping thing, that's an easy thing to do that, that's a bit disappointing that that's just left as is. I don't have any issue with the main house, the addition to the back of that. I think that's totally fine, and that's maybe has been lost up to this point. So I would support variance 1 and refuse the remainder. Guys good with that?
I think that's quite appropriate, Peter. I agree with you. I don't think the main structure is an issue.
Yeah. I'll move approval of just variance 1 and refusal of the remainder of the variances with no conditions.
Seconder for that, that's Mr. Clay. All right. All right, all in favor? All right. Variance 1 was approved, but the other variances were refused. Thank you, everyone.
Through you, Mr. Chair, let's take at least a 45-minute lunch.
Yep, agreed. That
Okay.
would help.
Thank you.
So 2:35 maybe?
Sure.
2:35? All right.
Members, please turn off your videos and turn off your